If you're tuning in for the first time, this is our Sunday night debate special with Andrew. He's a conservative, and he's challenged liberals to come on and debate him, and he's offered up a prize to the liberal that he feels presents the best arguments against him. This week we have Matthew Schneider, also known as Schnides, and they've already predetermined their debate topics. Schneid said, "You know what? I'll let Andrew pick my topic and let's rock." So with that, I'll let Andrew.
I'm excited to hear what they are because I know they didn't get through the pre-approval process. So I just went ahead and let Andrew pick them since he was vetoing mine. So I am very excited to hear what they are.
It should be interesting. So Andrew, what topics did you pick for this week?
You don't know what the topics are?
No, I do. I would like you to introduce. No,
I was asking Schnides because we just said what they were behind the scenes. So,
I mean, just what was said, but I don't really know what your take is on them. And
the topics tonight are economic equality, and then did the Nazis make any contributions towards society?
Interesting topic. I think we'll do that one in the second half. Let's get the juices flowing a little bit with economic equality first. Schneid's, what are you hoping to get out of this debate tonight?
Well, I was kind of curious because there is kind of a challenge. What is the metric for that? How do we gauge who? Because I mean, like on the Friday night ones we do, it's more of a general discussion and less about trying to win a debate. So I guess, Andrew, what does that mean to you?
What does what mean to me?
Winning the debate.
What does it mean? What does it mean to me?
Yeah. What's the victory condition?
The victory conditions for the prize that I offered up are if I feel that a progressive actually beat me in a debate using logic and reason instead of feelings.
So it's going to be based on if you admit to somebody else having a good point or not.
No, not if I admit if somebody has a good point, but whether or not I feel that they used logic and deductive reasoning in order to properly win the debate.
Based on if you feel they do?
Yeah, it has to be me because, unfortunately, this is a lopsided group, and there's far more progressives than there are conservatives. So it's impossible
Are you arguing on your feelings right now?
What's that?
Aren't you arguing that somebody else has to present logic and then you're going to use your feelings to determine if their logic is sound or not?
No. That's not what I'm arguing. In fact, I'm not arguing anything. I'm just telling you what the metric is for the prize.
Okay.
So if you don't have to, you don't have to take the prize, right? You could just take like a note from me that says, "Hey, you won. I'm an honest guy. I enjoy, when you lose, you win. I win even if I lose because that means that I've learned something."
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because there was a challenge. I didn't know if that was ever discussed, like it
was arbitrary. It was arbitrarily dropped. So it wasn't like it was pre-planned. It just was dropped, and then fuck it, we ran with it.
Okay.
So that's how that went.
Okay.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So Andrew, since you presented both topics tonight, you're going to have to present the opening statement on both. Economic inequality versus equality.
Actually, I didn't say economic equality at all. I said equality, period.
Okay. I thought you said
equality. No, it's just equality.
Okay, equality. Okay. So why did you pick that topic?
It's my position that nothing in life is equal and that no two people are equal. It's further my position that everybody's born with different talents. They're born with different heights. They're born with different colors. They're born with different colored eyes. They're born with differences, and they're innate. And that the push for equality from progressives is a push for equal outcomes, not just equality under the law. And I say that it's absolutely impossible to ever divvy out equal outcomes in any way that makes any kind of sense when you're dealing with such a diverse public and nobody's actually inherently equal.
I don't think that the progressive argument is arguing everybody to have equal outcomes. My take on it is more the goal is to get everybody to an equal starting place. And you're talking about two very different things. You're talking about opportunity compared to physical attributes. And that's kind of two completely separate topics.
I find them entwined.
Somebody's opportunity should be diminished based on their physical.
They are right now, no matter what. It's inevitable. It's natural law. And it's totally and completely inarguable that it's natural law. If you're born with one leg, for instance, other people are going to have a leg up on you, right?
Right. But so are you I guess I'm trying to put my finger on, I want to understand where you're coming from. It is, again, I don't see the connection between physical attributes and opportunities. I think those are two kind of very different issues that there's a big distinction there.
I just told you they're intertwined issues. For instance,
intertwined issues, and I'm kind of presenting why I don't feel that they are.
But aren't attractive people more likely to get jobs than unattractive people?
Yes, but that's
okay.
Not,
so then they're entwined. It's that simple.
No, because you're talking two completely separate things.
I just told you that they're separate, but they're intertwined.
Hang on. Allow me to make my point. What would be the thing that progressives are arguing to get people equal outcome that would change the way hiring practice based on somebody's physical appearance?
We already have some, like affirmative action, for instance.
That's not based on somebody's attractiveness.
It's solely based on physical appearance and nothing more than physical appearance. Not one thing more than physical appearance is that based on. Tell me what it's based on if it's not physical appearance. Go ahead.
Based on attractiveness, which is the argument that
no, that's not what I asked you. I said, what's
okay.
affirmative action based on if it's not appearance? Of course, you already know the answer, and so do I.
is there a difference in the genetics of the people too?
Oh, that's interesting. That's going to come up in our second topic, isn't it? I'm glad you brought that up, though. I knew the progressive would.
Well, here's the thing. You asked for me to give you one other difference, and that's just something off the top of my head. Affirmative action absolutely is not aimed at people who look differently. Like that's
the only thing it's aimed at is people who look differently. It's aimed at one subsect based on one physical characteristic and literally nothing else. Not one other thing. Nothing.
Yeah, it is based on other things.
What?
It's based on, so, okay, where are you applying affirmative action here in this scenario? Are you applying it to somebody's hiring practices?
What do you, well, of course, not just hiring practices, but acceptances into college, et cetera, et cetera. It applies to multiple things.
So yeah.
But it's all based around one thing, which is the physical appearance of the person.
No, it's based upon the ratio of the people currently enrolled or currently employed.
Based on what? The ratio is what?
It's not their physical appearance.
You look this way and I look this way, right? That's the ratio?
No.
To some extent, that, I mean, oh, sorry.
But you're arguing the only thing that it factors in is people's difference in appearance.
Yes.
That's simply not the case.
Okay, well then what else does it factor in?
I feel like I just named a couple off the top of my head.
What? You said something about ratios. Who cares? The ratio is you're trying to have more of this compared to this. I'm telling you what the ratio is more of this appearance compared to this appearance. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you have a point on this, you need to make it, because so far you haven't said anything. It's just gibberish. Affirmative actions based on appearance. Do you have a counter to that or don't you?
Yeah, and I just gave it.
Okay, well, what was it again? Just refresh my memory.
Okay, so your stance. Okay, and maybe I'm not understanding where you're coming from clearly. So your stance is that the only thing that affirmative action takes into consideration or is aimed at addressing is somebody's physical appearance.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
I just want Andrew to clarify a little bit on his stance. Is it, so are what you arguing is it some sort of Darwinism?
No.
Like, but for humans.
No.
Okay. I just want. All right.
So again, what else is it based on? You just look stumped, man. You look like you're having a hard time. I know you want to argue the point. Sometimes you should just concede points that are obvious and true. It's obvious and true in this case. Affirmative action is blanketed targeted towards people based on their appearance and nothing but their appearance. Because you have to look which way, okay, to qualify for it. You have to look a certain way. What way is that? You have to be one certain color. There's a pigmentation that's acceptable here.
See, and that's not even true either, because it's not aimed just at black people. It's aimed at multiple races. It's aimed at gender. It's aimed at a lot of things.
No, it's not.
Looks just as much at the hiring practice.
Affirmative action is not aimed at gender. It's ridiculous. That's absurd. The reason that affirmative action is argued as being so racist is because it's aimed specifically at black people. Okay, specifically, they have taken away some of that ratio stuff that you're talking about, but that's not what affirmative action was. Affirmative action is a black cause. And
can we pull that up, because I don't think that's accurate. I don't think
it's the Civil
accurate.
Rights Act of 1964 and 1965. Businesses received federal funds and were prohibited from using aptitude tests and other criteria that intended to discriminate against African Americans. So its inception was for African Americans. What it is
very
now,
good on the sauce. You had it ready.
What it is now, I don't know. But its inception was for African Americans, and that was with Lyndon Johnson's Civil Rights Act. I'll send it to Justin.
And of course it was. Most anti-discriminatory policy that's been hijacked by other races was designed to help blacks get a leg up. That's what it was designed to do. And it's been piggybacked by other races, and it's been piggybacked by homosexuals, but all of it was targeted specifically towards blacks getting a leg up.
Okay. That I did not know. I did not think that was accurate.
I do believe, to be accurate, I think women are covered now too. So again, just to be accurate, but it did not start for women. I think women are now covered under it. Again, just to be correct, but I have to look into that too. Anyway, I'm sending this to Justin. Go ahead, continue, guys.
But again, I mean, just the way that was even framed, that it was hijacked by other races.
That's right.
If its goal is to, how do I even want to phrase this? If its goal is to prevent hiring practices based on racial discrimination, just because the initial verbiage said African American in it, like, it's not accurate. Like, that's I don't know. That doesn't sit right with me. That doesn't sit right with me at all to say it's been hijacked by other races because the umbrella has been made bigger.
Wow, what a great point. It feels that way to you, does it?
Yeah, that's what I just said. Kind of like you get a.
I'm with you. It feels that way to you. But I mean, how about evidence of it? Like, I can give you some evidence of it. Like when the Supreme Court recently used a clause in the Constitution tailored towards blacks to give gays marriage equality. See, that's proof of my position.
No, that's not. That's not. That's that's not proof of your position, because if you're saying that gays hijacked it, the Supreme Court applying, that's not an action of that. Like, that doesn't.
Well, who lobbied for it? The Supreme Court? No. Just because they ruled that way. Okay, it was clearly it was argued that way from the LGBTQ side. Okay, and the Supreme Court ruled that way because it was argued that way. That's how that works, man. They hijacked a clause in the Constitution that never applied to them, ever. Not ever. It was never tailored towards homosexuals.
So are you saying that they were wrong to do that?
Yeah, they were wrong to do it. It wasn't a clause. That wasn't a clause that's designed. Sexuality shouldn't be protected anyway. And it should be subjective to ridicule. Absolutely, it should be subjective to ridicule because of societal standards. That's why. Because the best way to curb mental illness often is through ridicule. Shrinks can't cure it. Psychiatrists can't cure it. Nobody can cure mental illness. The only thing that ever seems to make mentally ill people behave is ridicule and shame. That's it. That's it.
Now that leads to an increase because like mental illness, suicide, depression, all those things, like that's
Well, if it leads to an
that
increase in
argument.
all the anti-bullying and policies and all of the awareness policies that have gone on, why are people more depressed and mentally ill now in 2020 than they ever have been in all of human history recorded that we know of?
That's valid. I don't know. Maybe some of that has more to do with access to diagnosis.
They
I
have
don't know.
plenty, everybody has plenty of access. Hell, you can access it yourself and often come up with better diagnosis for yourself than a psychiatrist can. Everybody
Yeah, now
nowadays,
you can than you previously could.
everybody nowadays,
Now it's a higher rate, which is
everybody now is a pseudo psychiatrist. Everybody now is a pseudo psychologist. Everybody wants to diagnose everybody with something. The rates of mental illness it's at an all-time high. When the public shamed people who were mentally ill, guess what? It was much lower, much lower.
So you just argued my point like I was making a ridiculous point. That increase in access to those things results in more diagnosis. So that could be an easy explanation for that.
Well, it's not from your side with COVID-19.
Wait, what?
It's not from your side with COVID-19. With COVID-19, you claim that the reason that we have the most amount of cases isn't because of all the testing.
Well, those are two different things.
That's true. They're two
That is
different
a
things, but the
possibility.
logic still applies between the two.
The link in the logic there doesn't even make sense.
Of course it does. You're arguing access for diagnosis. The link is perfect.
On two separate things. Well, a mental illness diagnosis does not require hardware to be manufactured, shipped, and made readily available. There's logistics sides to that.
Sure it does. What are you talking about? The hardware is pills. The hardware is, there's all kinds of different hardware. There's electroshock therapy. There's all kinds of things that are required to train a psychologist on top of that require hardware. Yes, there's hardware that's involved.
So everybody who goes to a psychologist has a one-time use disposable kit that's manufactured as part of that
No,
visit.
now those really are two different things. But the logical link between more diagnosis and more access applies to both COVID-19 and psychological diagnosis because they're both medical diagnoses.
I mean, you can make that argument, but it doesn't make it true.
I just did, and it's an excellent argument.
That's debatable.
Well, debate it then. That's what you're here to do.
So, because I just said how they're not the same, and then you argue, well, yeah, they're not the same, but we're talking medical diagnosis, and then go back into the same argument.
No, I'm claiming that you can have two separate things that are still logically linked by action. Okay? They're still logically linked by action.
So comparing access of a one-time disposable kit that has to be manufactured for that use
is that the only way? That's the only way. Is that the only way COVID can be diagnosed?
Is not really a fair comparison.
Is that the only way COVID can be diagnosed? Is that the only way COVID can be diagnosed?
I believe so.
No, it's not the only way COVID can be diagnosed. People were being diagnosed with COVID-19 before you were able to get access to the test. Just so you know, that's one. Two, they're both based around a medical diagnosis. You don't believe that the increase in testing has led to more positive cases of COVID because progressives refuse to believe that. But on the other hand, you'll argue on your left hand in a second, though, that, oh, hey, more access to psychologists, though, has led to more diagnoses of mental illness.
Okay. Of course, more people taking more tests are going to have more test results come back positive.
Excellent. So Trump was right.
But to say that the reason that we're the epicenter is because of the availability of the testing is falsely framing that argument. That's okay. Very falsely framing that
falsely framing the argument. As long as you concede that you can link the logic, that's good enough for me. And you just did.
You still can't. You still can't.
You just did.
You still haven't addressed. You still haven't addressed my point about it.
And your point is?
You want me to say it for the fourth time?
Yeah, reiterate it so I can make sure that I'm clear when I address it.
Okay. So going to a doctor to speak to a doctor, scheduling an appointment is the logistics issues with getting mental illness diagnosed. That is the only logistics issue with getting mental illness diagnosed. That is not the only logistics issue with having a COVID-19 test.
What? You're arguing logistics? What the hell are you talking about, man? The link and logic has nothing to do with the logistics. It has to do with cases increasing based on the amount of people that are there to diagnose them. It's that simple. I don't know.
You're changing argument again a little bit. Because now you're saying it's based on availability of people to do the diagnosis.
Man, we can keep on it if you want. I would move on. You've lost this one. If you got anything else in your bag of tricks, I'd bring it to bear.
All right, let's move on. Just continue to not address any counterpoint that's brought up.
You got to make a counterpoint. Making a counterpoint.
Who are you talking about?
Making a counterpoint of logistics versus diagnosis makes no sense. That really is an apples and oranges comparison. So
the only thing that I wish you guys, so I hope you guys can. We have about 20 more minutes before we go to the next topic. If you guys, if you can build a little bit more on what equality means to you, other than kind of this survival of the fittest argument that you guys are going back and forth, and then somehow got into medical testing.
It's nurture. Well, let me explain then. It's nurture versus nature. Okay, nurture versus nature.
Okay.
There's a wondrous article that you can go pick up right now. I don't remember who wrote it, but you can find it just by Googling the concept for it, which is that Democrats tend to represent the feminine in society, and Republicans tend to represent the masculine in society.
Give me a pussy.
Well, right. Well, the data points for this are interesting because of things like the fact that men overwhelmingly vote for Republicans, for instance, because the masculine values that tend to be there. It's nature versus nurture. This is why I say that we do need to have progressives and progressivism. I've never said otherwise. Okay. The problem is, though, on the nurture side, when you go overbearing with it and you try to make things equal and you try to make outcomes equal, you end up setting people up for a lifetime of failure. This is why people don't know how to invest their money. They don't know how to do all kinds of things that they should know how to do, except they're protected from themselves. And progressives want more and more and more policies to protect people from the outcomes of the choices that they make in their own lives. Most social issues on the divide between progressives and conservatives, I think, fall along those lines.
See, you're kind of all over the place, though. So how does nature versus nurture apply to that? Like,
because in the natural order of things, okay, when people make choices, they have to live with the consequences of those choices. What happens when you're a child is your parents shield you from the consequences of your choices. Okay, as society, as we go along here, progressives want the government to act more and more and more like a mommy, shielding people from their personal choices. And so what ends up happening is people want more and more and more for mommy to come in and adjust the outcomes for them also. I have no money, give me money. I have no food, give me food. I have no shelter, give me shelter.
You're all over the place and arguing.
How much more concise can I get?
But you're arguing both sides of the same coin. Is it the way that people are progressives looking to legislate people out of their own poor decisions, or is it aimed at the way people look? Like, that
was the affirmative action topic. Has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now.
Which is a progressive policy aimed at equality, which is the topic that we're talking about.
But that has nothing to do. You can link the two. That still is a mommy-ish type policy, affirmative action. My son doesn't look like your son, so he's disadvantaged. Let him into the nice school. It's the same type of thing. The progressive policy making tends to be around a nanny type state or a mommy type state. And it's designed to shield people from choices.
So what is the choice being shielded from a progressive policy like affirmative action? What life choice is being shielded there?
In that particular case, most of the choices are based around how well a person does inside of school, okay? Using their own academic skills, using the things that God gave them to do better in school. And so they don't want the test to be fair across the board because they believe the other side had a leg up, right? They think the other side had a leg up. So what ends up happening when you look at the progressive policy of affirmative action is they're trying to say that my son can do academically worse than your son, and he still deserves the opportunity to go to the same school that you go to. It's a very nanny-ish, mommy-ish type of issue.
But what's the life choice that's being
I just
protected?
told you, the choices that the person makes academically are what leads to the necessity of them wanting affirmative action.
So
When it comes to a school, for instance,
people's capabilities in school is only based on the choices that they make?
most of the time, of course, how much you apply yourself, that's a natural law too. Okay, the more you put into something, the more you'll get out of something. Most people fail at everything they try in life because they never even try, ever. They don't even try.
But there are people who are not capable. I mean, that was kind of your beginning.
If they're not capable of getting into a good school, then why do you want them to get into one?
You've kind of brought up three different points that are all kind of contradictory against each other.
Well, then show me what's contradictory.
Kind of pointed out.
What? Brady looks really handsome.
What's that, Justin?
I said Brady looks really handsome.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. I probably derailed your train of thought a little bit, but.
Well, you keep saying that's a contradiction. Well, what's contradictory about it?
It's all over the place.
It's remarkably consistent to me.
First, because like the beginning of your argument was that the playing field could never be leveled because, and then you listed physical differences. Then you moved to affirmative action being only based about physical appearance. Then you moved to progressives. And I mean, you're presenting a straw man argument on top of it because you're presenting the progressive argument.
There is no straw man in that argument at all. I didn't set up a counter argument to argue against in order to make this argument less valid. That's what a straw man is.
You're presenting the progressive's argument in order to dismantle it, and you're framing it in a way
that's the opposite of a straw man. Presenting your argument and dismantling it's the opposite of a straw man. A straw man would be if I presented a different argument that was less valid than the argument that I'm making, and then argued against that, which I'm not doing.
You're presenting the progressive stances to create a nanny state. Is the boil down? That's what our policies are based on. That's where we're coming from. That is the thing that you're counterpointing off. That's a fictitious point.
No, that was one of the ways.
Whole cloth just to argue against.
That was one of the ways that I explained what my overarching point was, which wasn't that progressives want a nanny state, but that the Democratic Party and progressives in general take a more effeminate stance on how they protect society. That was my point. Are you disagreeing that they have a more effeminate stance on how they protect society?
Who, Democrats?
Yeah, and I'm more disagreeing with the way that you're kind of making this, like you're arguing everything from both sides of it, and then dismissing your previous argument to move on to your next argument.
What was the thing that I was arguing about from both sides exactly? And tell me what the both sides were that I argued.
That the purpose of progressive policies is to protect people from their own life choices is one argument that you made.
I never made that argument. Never made that argument that was the purpose. I said that's what it's turning into. Not that that's what the purpose of progressivism is. And then qualified that by telling you that progressivism is necessary because of it. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, man.
Okay.
What are you talking about? Are you going to be one of these everything's a straw man, everything's a red herring guy? Or are you going to get to something here?
This is like this isn't even a debate. This is just circular. Like you just
stop making it circular then and start answering the questions. Okay, let's start with the original question, which is, other than how a person looks, what's affirmative action tailored to do? What's it tailored to do?
See, and I've answered that a couple of times, and you just ignore it.
No, you don't answer it. You subvert it. So answer it.
It's aimed at curbing discriminatory hiring and recruiting practices.
Based on what? Other than physical appearance? What?
Okay, see, like you're changing the question. You're moving the goalpost. You asked a question, I answered it.
I asked a follow-up question. Questions deserve to have follow-ups asked. That's how logic works. You start with one question, you move on to the next question, then you move on to the next question, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you would like to answer these questions, that'd be swell.
If you'd like to address my answer, that would also be swell. Okay,
what part of your answer do you want addressed? That they're tailored towards discriminatory policies?
Yeah.
Is that the answer you want addressed?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, fine. They're tailored towards discriminatory policies. Now, based on what?
Based on people's race.
Based on people's race, based on how they look. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed based on how a person looks and giving them a leg up or a leg down. That's progressive.
What was your question again? Because your question was, what was the purpose?
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Thank you for answering it. I had to beat you over the head to get you to do it, but you did.
But you're not even talking about the purpose or the result. See, this is like you're back and forth on stuff. First, I mean, you want to start a line of discussion about the intent and the goal, but then you move that goalpost.
Man, all you're doing is finding clean bathwater and dirtying it. Okay, you don't want to have a debate. You just want you just want to muddy the water. Have a debate. Okay, try it. Just try. Try to actually say where you're coming from. Try to actually say something here, because all you do instead is you worry about, well, these two thoughts don't link, and here's how. And then when I explain it again in an even more concise way, you still seem to have trouble following along.
Because you completely ignore. Okay, whatever. Move on.
All right. Well, we have 10 minutes before we're going to move to the next topic. But I think the next topic is going to take up a little bit of time anyways. Because
then
I say just go to the next topic.
Back to equality, and especially equality of outcomes. Do you think that the government should have policies that lean towards giving people equality of outcome?
No. What do you mean by equality of outcome? You're going to have to explain that a little bit more too.
For instance, do you think that you should have a 50% ratio of women to men in a specific job field?
That's not true, X3. That's not why.
No, I don't think that you should.
Okay, why not?
Because that's not necessarily hiring the best person.
So you want merit? So you want merit-based hiring practices?
Yes.
So then, are you against affirmative action?
However, like that would be ideal to have completely merit-based hiring practices. However, we know that when that hits the ground, that's not realistic, but it's not going to happen. So, I mean, do you think that there shouldn't be protections in place?
No, I don't think there should be any protections in place between two people who make a mutual contract with each other. No.
So you think an employer should be able to discriminate based on the race of the person that they're, the race of the applicant?
Yeah. And let me tell you why that logically follows. Okay. Because if a person is racist and they don't want to hire you based on your race, okay, how are they going to treat you when they do hire you because they have to? Probably not very good.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not always interacting. Like the person who does the interview and who does the hiring, lots of times it's not even somebody that's within the company.
Yeah, big megala firms, but small businesses are the largest employer, not megala firms. And small businesses, it's often between 3 and 5 people who work at those businesses. So yeah, you are going to be interacting mostly with the person who hires you.
No, you're still not. HR firms had a huge increase in the last 2 years.
So there's still
Well,
who employs the most people in the United States?
yeah, small businesses,
Okay,
which is 50 or fewer employees.
Right.
The three-person business is an extreme example. Most of the businesses in the country are between 20 to 40 employees.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
That's
that's
No, it's not.
1,000% true.
It's not true. It's not true. Okay, it's not true at all. Most small businesses, well, not most, but a high percentage of them are self-employment. So you're your own employee.
It was something like 62, 63% of businesses with W-2 employees were between 20 to 44.
And it was something like 62 to 63% of statistics are made up on the spot too. I don't know. But
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I mean, a sole proprietor isn't hiring somebody anyway. But yeah, I mean, you can not believe it. You can look it up. That is a legit statistic that I do know. 20 to 40 employees is the bread and butter of the workforce in this country.
The small business, though, okay, they're the hiring. They are the people who employ the most amount of people. Okay, it follows.
Do you have a data to back that?
It follows that if you force a person to hire somebody they don't want to hire just based on their physical characteristics, they're probably not going to like that person very much.
Well, no, but again, you're making the assumption that's going to have an impact on the day-to-day.
Yeah, because it will have an impact on the day-to-day. You ever had a bad boss that doesn't like you? It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
honestly, lots of times the owner who does the interview isn't at the office anyway. It's maybe not somebody who's a direct. So I mean, you're kind of throwing a blanket over like a specific scenario and saying that this limited scenario is the reason that we have to put this blanket over all of those employers.
Blacks are 14% of the population total. Okay. I don't think it's a blanket scenario to say that if you take such a small minority, okay, and then force people to hire them based solely on their skin color, that this isn't a realistic expectation to have. That seems pretty realistic to me, man. If 14% of your demographic is going to get hired by the majority demographic against their will.
See, but again, you're conflating a lot of things in your argument, because you're assuming that every white person who like the way that was stated, in order for that to logically work, would be that every white person who hires people will end up treating their black employees wrong, which just isn't the case. And
no,
what
affirmative action hires that are against an employer's will will have that effect.
Hey, Schnides, Rachel Lynn had a question for you. She said, I'd still like Schnides to tell us how to achieve equality.
Good question.
We have 4 minutes before we got to switch topics.
Well, I mean, you can't achieve equality. I mean, that's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't, when scenarios present themselves, we shouldn't address them with the goal of moving towards that.
Why? When you know that the outcome is assured that we can't do it.
Because just because you can't make something perfect, it shouldn't be attempted.
Sometimes, yes, that's the case. And in this case, I postulate that it's so. That in our efforts to make things more equal, we've made them more unequal.
I don't agree with that. I don't see how we've made them more unequal.
Affirmative action is a great case in point. You now have unequal access to things based literally on a person's skin color, which is insane. In fact, every single class in the United States is protected except for white men. Every single one has protection clauses written for them except for white men. All of them.
What would be the protection clause? What would the scenario be that white men would need a protection clause?
What's this? There's no scenario where anybody needs a protection clause. That's race division, and that's what it causes.
I guess I didn't understand your point about white men being the only class that isn't protected then.
Because my point is, I'm talking about division. And if you want to divide people, it's really easy to do along race. And one of the easiest ways to do it along race is by making every race other than the majority race a protected class. It's going to build resentment. And that's exactly what's happened.
Wouldn't segregating workplaces also lead to racial division?
Well, couldn't minorities also segregate their workplaces, which often happens now?
I don't know about that. That often happens now.
What happens now? A lot. Okay, segregation didn't go away. We just self-segregate. We just self-segregate.
Do you want to
No.
answer this question
That doesn't
from Lamar?
track. But what's that?
If Andrew wants to answer this question from Lamar.
No, a policy, Lamar, for segregation is not the answer. Okay, but having a law, on the other hand, that's tailored for inclusivity is not the answer either. Choice should be the order of the day. What people choose to do. If they choose to segregate, that's their choice. If they choose not to, they should have complete and total freedom of association to do what they want. They should be able to hire who they want. They should be able to fire who they want. Men should absolutely be able to not hire women if they don't want to. Women should not be able to hire men.
You just argued against division. You just argued dividing people as a negative as a point for why we need to not try to force equality. And then you just literally flip it and start arguing the exact opposite.
How was it flipped? I'm not going to take you at your word because you often seem to lie. So how was it flipped?
How do I often seem to lie?
Tell me how it was flipped, and then I'll show you how.
Okay. Honestly, I've even lost my train of thought here.
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. So when you make these statements like this, when you say you're arguing against yourself, you should really follow it up with how. Otherwise, you look idiotic, man. It's not good optics for you. And when you lose your train of thought in the middle of a debate, when somebody points out that they don't think you're being truthful and you can't point out how you are, that's also not very good optics for you. Just telling you.
Okay, fair enough. You're great with optics.
I'm not great with optics, so you should doubly listen to me, because if I see an optical issue, you know there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no. Okay. So you were arguing that dividing people is a negative with your point about white men not being a protected class.
No,
that's
my argument
is
that government policies as a dividing factor are a negative. Not that
right, and that was the point. That was the example that you used to illustrate that point. Is that fair to say?
No, it's not fair to say, because the entire point is government policy, not freedom of association. There's a difference between having government put in policy that segregates people along racial lines and people freely being able to associate with who they want to associate with. They're not even in the same universe.
Mm. It just doesn't track. I mean, there's no logic there. Like,
you keep saying that, but you seem to have trouble pointing out where I'm going wrong here, buddy.
Well, because again, you're arguing both sides of it. Like the government is a collection of people that we vote into office in order to represent us. So to argue that people should do it of their own is good, but when the government does it, it's bad. It's still the same thing being done. It's the same thing being done by people, whether it's an individual doing it or somebody voting. Like it's voting for somebody to represent them in order to do that. Like it's still, the end result is the same.
What?
Okay, so you say that when people do something on their own, it's not bad. But when the government does it, that makes it bad, and it's bad because the government did it.
Yeah, because it's agenda driven. That's right.
So the government is people who are chosen by other people to represent them.
Not by everybody. A very small amount of the electorate actually votes. That's one. And the second thing that you're conflating there is, aside from the fact that such a small amount of the electorate actually votes them in, government officials have an agenda to stay in office using dividing tactics. The individual has no such agenda for themselves. The individual should have complete and total freedom of association.
Okay, fellas, we're going to wrap up this topic. If you want to just give some closing statements on it really quick, and then we'll go to the next one. Nothing?
Which one of us would you like to close first?
We'll go with Schnides, and then I'll go with you, Andrew.
Yeah, I guess my closing thoughts on that is I really don't understand the logic of not, how do I put this into words? Not wanting to address a problem or try to make it better because you ultimately can't make it go away. And I really don't understand the distinction between if government does it, it's bad just because government does it.
Well, in my closing argument, I'll say again, neither one of those were my points at all. But I mean, you can say what you want. It's your closing argument. The entire heart of what I'm trying to get at, and it's very simple, is that equality as an outcome is an impossibility. And that when people try to force impossible outcomes to happen, you end up with very, very, very bad results. That's my point. It's the Tower of Babel. Okay. The path to destruction is paved in good intentions. All right. If you know that the outcome is assured, then you should not strive for that outcome.
So that's taking it to a pretty extreme though. If the outcome is assured, then you shouldn't try it. But like what is the outcome that you're talking about there? Is it equality across the board, or is it addressing a specific issue?
It's equality. It's equality across the board.
Okay. Can't a scenario occur that's under that equality umbrella and that scenario be addressed?
Of course. And they are all the time. And my entire point is because you know that the outcome is assured and what's inevitable, that addressing some of those lower issues on that tier, okay, are inevitably going to be disappointing and aren't going to work out very well for you.
Well, they may not drive towards the end goal or the field post that's being put there, but they can still address that specific issue and make that specific issue better.
To the purpose of what goal?
Of finding a solution to that problem.
Okay,
I mean,
so you're saying that specific issues can have outcomes, okay? But if you inevitably know what the end result is going to be, okay, then when you try to drive to try to get towards that end result, you're going to end up with disastrous results almost every time it's tried. It may not seemingly be that way at first, but
you're missing my point, though. You're missing my point, though. Like the point of a piece of legislation to address a discriminatory act, the goal of that legislation is to prevent that discriminatory act. The goal of that legislation is not to create everything as being equal across the board.
Yes, but it's gradually, that's what the gradual goal is. Yes, that is what the goal is.
And I just want to jump in because equity is literally that. So that means if I work harder than someone else, we're still going to be on equal levels, because I've argued this before, and I hate to jump in here. You can't have both. We can't have equal opportunities and equal outcomes. You cannot have both. So we have to pick one. And I'm down with equal opportunities.
That's not really what Schnides over
and
here.
I know, again, and I'm just trying to wrap it up. I don't know what. Yeah,
he's saying
we got to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
He's saying on a step-tiered issue, if this is where the goal is, if there's things in between you and that goal that can be addressed, they probably should be, even if you know that the end goal is going to be disastrous. Okay, that's the Reader's Digest version of what he's trying to say. What I'm saying to you is that
I'm saying why do you think that why do you think the end goal is to create everything being equal and the end goal is not to address a specific issue?
Because that's what progressives say their end goal is for complete equality across the board. So that's why I think that, because that's what you guys say. So I'm going off what you say.
Do you feel that way, Justin?
Sorry, I had a text message. I was dealing with something. What was the question?
Do you feel as though like a piece of legislation like the affirmative action, that its purpose is to, or its intent of being created was to create equality across the board?
That's not what I said.
Eliminate inequality?
Now that really is a straw man, because that's not what I said.
Say it again then. Say it again.
Okay, what I'm saying is that progressives continuously mark equality as being the ultimate goal, the achievement that they want. Okay?
I'll discuss this in the panel portion.
So if progressives, if their ultimate goal is equality, Justin, do you feel like a piece of legislation like the Affirmative Action Act, its only purpose, the only reason to do that is if your end goal is to create all equality? Or can you write that piece of legislation in order to address discriminatory practices that are being addressed specifically?
Absolutely, you can. That's why, a piece of legislation can be introduced. Usually that's, why amendments come about is, some people believe the Constitution is, it's written in black and white, and it's not open for interpretation, where others believe that we introduce amendments because it's a living, breathing document and needs to be adjusted as we go.
Hey, that's an excellent point. Here, I'll just frame it.
I don't want to get in the argument, though.
I'll just frame
we
it.
can discuss this in the panel.
Nope, now you did. So I'm just going to frame it a slightly different way and see if we get a totally different answer. Would you say that we're totally equal in this country?
Absolutely not.
Would you like to see more equality in this country?
Absolutely.
Is affirmative action an incremental step in getting towards that equality that you'd like to see?
I think
to
some extent, yes, but it hasn't. So it was introduced, I believe, in the 60s, and we're still seeing a lot of the same problems today.
So it was an incremental step towards getting towards the equality.
It's incremental, very incremental.
So all you got to do is frame the argument slightly differently. That's a real straw man, by the way. That's an actual straw man. Just so you know.
No, you're making my point. Progressives don't argue and say them. Progressives don't argue. Like, you keep saying progressives argue that the only, like, the end goal on everything is equality. And that's just not the case. Like, the reason I asked Justin that, and I asked him that question, was because he's a progressive.
And he just answered my question too, and said that it's incrementally achieving his goal of equality.
Well, I think that, so I'm kind of extreme, so I don't think I should get in on this argument, but
no, but
I don't think enough has been done.
The reason he pointed you out is he's trying to make the point, well, not all progressives believe this, and you were just convenient and handy, so he was able to pull you in to try to give some kind of affirmation bias.
No, it's not that all.
Then why did you bring somebody else in?
You're missing the point. You're missing the
debate?
point. Okay, you're missing the point. Hang on. Let me because I'm trying to make the same point in multiple ways because you keep missing it. The point is, where I say that you're using straw man arguments is because you're creating an argument for the progressives in order to dismantle. You're sitting here arguing that progressives keep saying that the end goal of progressives is this, is this, is this. I am saying that we can address specific issues without necessarily worrying about that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If you consider that to be a straw man, then you're saying then that progressives are not collectively trying to achieve total equality across the board?
Yeah, I am saying that.
Okay.
I mean, that's not realistic.
We got you on record saying that. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the next topic. Andrew, what was the next topic that you wanted to discuss tonight?
The next topic that I wanted to discuss was if the Nazis had any type of if they did anything to push culture in the right direction, or if they did anything to push culture in the wrong direction.
Okay, and what's your take? Where's your stance on that one?
So when I look at progressives especially these Antifa fuckers, they seem to very liberally use the term Nazi. It's a very liberal usage. They're constantly calling almost anybody who dissents about anything a Nazi. I would like for progressives to tell me the things about the Nazi Party's platform as far as their social issues went that they actually disagree with, because I don't think that progressives know very much about Nazis. And I certainly don't think that they know very much about their policies, or I think that they would agree with them a lot more.
Would you agree that conservatives do the same thing with the term commie?
No.
You don't think that they use that as a immediate go-to, even when it doesn't necessarily apply?
No.
So just really quick, Andrew, though, I think a lot of people on the left, just because I do see a little bit of a hole in your argument, I don't accuse people of Nazis, because it's something that you shouldn't accuse somebody of unless like you know that they're doing that. What I see a lot of people on the left accuse people on the right of being is fascists. And to Matt's argument, a lot of people on the right refer to liberals as commies.
Excellent. So to extrapolate on that, would you agree with that statement, Mr. Schnides? Would you say that the left fairly confidently and often uses the term fascist to describe the right?
Yeah. I think they use the term Nazi to describe the right. I think they use the term racist. I think they use the term fascism.
Do you think that the right is fascist?
I think that the things that are happening with the leadership on the right is certainly probably appealing to people who have fascist tendencies.
And what is fascism?
Fascism is a totalitarian control.
No, it's not. That's authoritarian. That's authoritarianism.
It's a dictatorship over a capitalist economy.
No, it's not. That's authoritarianism. That's authoritarianism. All fascism was a term that was coined by Benito Mussolini, and it means a bundle of sticks. Okay, and all it talks about is the association between government and corporate business. That's it. Okay, that's all it is. That's all fascism is essentially a corporate or a corporatist type oligarchy. That's it. So are the
corporations not part of a capitalist economy?
Of course they are.
Okay.
Of course they are. But they don't have any legislative authority unless our legislators give it to them. That's something what I'm saying is we already live in fascism already.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
Can I ask you guys both a question really quick, just to see where you guys stand? Matt, are you a commie?
No.
Andrew, are you a fascist?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know where we're arguing from. Okay, yeah. Matt, where would you say that you lie politically?
I would say I am probably more central than I think a lot of other people would say. I'm definitely left leaning, but I think the outside perspective is that I'm a leftist.
Okay, so somebody that's on the right would say you're a far leftist, but people within the left would say that you're a moderate.
I see myself as a moderate, but honestly, I think if you talk to other people who are leftists, they would say, like, I would probably, if I'm being honest with myself, probably a lot of the way I view the world would align with the way that they do. Okay.
And Andrew, if you were speaking to people within the right, they would say that you're part of the far right movement. So a lot of you would say that a lot of Republicans in Congress are rhinos.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the fascism thing. I just wanted to make it clear to everybody where you guys stand, everybody that's watching, where you guys stand politically and where you're coming from with this argument.
Okay.
So that being said, Matt, what do you think fascism is, and do you see it prevalent anywhere in the world today? And can you identify a government that currently implements that form of government, or a country that currently implements that form of government?
Yeah, and I don't know. a ton about these countries that I'm going to mention, so I don't like to overly get too into the weeds on it. But what's his name? Erdogan in Turkey.
Erdogan.
Yeah, Erdogan. Yeah, Spain. I'd say those are two pretty good examples. I do feel like the private army, the private police that was unidentified, grabbing protesters was pretty fascist. That was weird to see that happen in this country.
Do you agree with him?
That was authoritarian, not fascist. What made it fascist?
Well, the fascist was the name that Mussolini gave his authoritarian party, and it's the name that kind of stuck with that. I mean,
no, the Nazis were called fascist also. They were called the fasciste by the Soviets. Okay, they hated their guts, and the Soviets were communists.
Sorry.
Just so you know, the Soviets, the communists also hated the fascists. Okay, and the communists were just as likely and are right now to pull up in a van and throw your ass in there. So what exactly makes it a fascist or a communist thing to do those things? It's
Andrew,
can
I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what do you think the difference between authoritarianism, totalitarianism, and fascism is? Can you define that for us?
Between which three?
Totalitarianism, authoritarianism, and fascism.
Well, they can be used interchangeably or not at all. But if you're looking at the root of each one of them, fascism would essentially be corporations and U.S. government or any government ruling together, which is very, very similar to what we have right now.
So I'm not sure how you said my answer was completely wrong.
Why was Nazi Germany fascist then? Because there's a good example of it. Based on what
interstate highways, right? You have interstate highways, you have the Volkswagen, you have all kinds of things that Nazi Germany was responsible for, okay, that are definitely fascist. And those are things progressives would no doubt get behind.
But those things didn't come out of Nazism. I mean,
yes, they did. They came out of
because they were developed, but because they were developed in the same country around the same time doesn't mean that there's not a cause and effect there.
So Matt,
you would have a great point there if it wasn't the first. See, that's the problem. It was the first time it was done. So yeah, it was developed there because it was the very first time it had ever happened. Okay. So can you point out another time that happened? No. Because that's the only time it had ever happened, ever was there. So yes, it was beyond correlation because they were the ones who developed it.
How did Nazism lead to an interstate system then?
Because of fascism. Because of fascism.
Connect those dots.
Because what Hitler did was he basically went in, same thing as Mussolini, okay, and he had a public-corporate partnership. And with the public-corporate partnership, they were able to do things like mass-produce vehicles, mass-produce highway systems, mass-produce weapons. They were able to do all kinds of things that really had never been done in the industrial scale before like that. Now, Britain had done it to a degree, but they had mostly just outsourced it, and they were in charge. There was no actual oligarchy that was running the whole show. Okay, it was centralized.
The scale I give you, I was thinking more along the lines of the development and the engineering. That didn't track with me at all. Or organizing the resources and mounting it on that scale. Yeah, I agree with you there. And if that's the point you're making, I don't disagree with that.
Right.
You want to address this question?
Which part of the Nazi ideology?
I guess I'll wait till he comments.
Why don't you tell us?
Yeah,
I think that's a good point, Matt. What was like the best, what would you take at? Sorry, I'm dealing with something.
I would have taken a lot. I would have taken the anti-pornographic laws. Okay, those were great laws. I would have taken the inflation laws. I thought
it was bad when I thought people should choose that for themselves, and it's bad if government dictates that.
What?
Well, I mean, we were talking earlier
Yeah,
about
that's true. You're talking about
pornography.
anti-pornography laws.
So it would be good if government did that, but it's
not government. It was a dictatorship. Dictatorships are superior to democracies.
a dictatorship is a government. A dictatorship is a description of a government.
It's a form of it, but it works a totally different way. And a lot of times in Nazi Germany, for instance, the pornographic policies that were there, okay, the people themselves wanted to get rid of them. That's how you ended up with that government to begin with.
So,
smut.
But again, you're contradicting your arguments in the first half with what you're saying. Because
I said that there should be freedom of choice, and that when a democratically elected government that's elected by a small portion and percentage of the electorate wants something, and the inevitable goal of it is going to fail miserably, that they shouldn't legislate it.
What would the goal be that you're driving towards with a pornography ban? If you would take that, the goal of that is not just to ban pornography. What is the goal that you're driving towards there?
Wholesomeness. The goal would be to make a more wholesome society.
You can't legislate that. That's not realistic. So I mean,
yes, you can legislate some of that, and they used
to
legislate
wholesomeness. Come on.
Yeah, they used to have blue laws, and they worked. Yes, they worked. What are you talking about? Of course they worked. Okay. Wholesomeness in society, you can degrade a society if you, why is it you can't drive down the highway and look up and see a naked woman on a billboard?
Well, you can't.
You can't see a naked woman on a billboard when you're driving down a highway. It's illegal. It's illegal to swear on TV. It's illegal to show full nudes on TV. All of those things are legislations based around the society's will for wholesomeness. So yes, they can be legislated.
Well, no, okay, because those are incremental steps towards it, which is what you argued against in the first half.
Yeah, but I think that the end result there is
the goal is to create a more wholesome
the end
society.
result there is achievable, and that the end result of equality is not achievable. They're two very distinct things. It is totally achievable to have a 1940s-esque society. I know because we had one in the 1940s. That's how I know that.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to where I was at, the things that you ask what I would take away from that society, I would take away some of those things. And I would definitely get away from a central banking concept like the Nazis did. There's a lot of things about fascism that are appealing. Absolutely. You guys yourself would find a lot of things about fascism likely appealing. There's downsides to it, just like there's downsides with everything. But to turn the question back, what are the things specifically about Nazi Germany's policies, their fiscal policies, or their policies in regards to their country at large socially that you disagree with?
Well, nobody's throwing fascist or Nazi as an insult at somebody because of their economic beliefs.
That's right. They're not. So why are they doing it, I wonder?
There is a thing that the Nazis were kind of famous for that I feel like they're probably alluding to.
Well, then why don't they call you communists? They're much more famous for doing that thing than the Nazis were. So how come they specifically say Nazi and not commie?
Communists are not known for a racial genocide.
Yes, they are. In fact, they're the most well known. They killed far more Jews than Hitler ever could have dreamed of. Far more. Wasn't even close. The statistic that's given is that Hitler killed 6 million. Okay? I don't know how many Stalin killed when it's inevitably done, but it was many, 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 many more times than that. So how come they stick with Nazi instead of communist? How come?
I don't know. Why do you guys stick with communists when it doesn't apply? I mean, it's the same.
Communism does apply to progressive leftists. They incrementally seem to want to institute communism.
you got to pick a side of the incremental and goalpost argument.
What do you mean?
I mean, you got to pick a side to it.
Which side am I not picking? Tell me
Well,
what I
you're
need to
picking
do.
both sides.
Tell me what I need to do in Schnides' world to make the argument consistent. Because you can have two thoughts, and both of those thoughts together may be presented in a different way, but mean the same thing. In this
You can,
particular
but you can
case,
also hold two conflicting thoughts. At
you
the same
can,
time.
but
You can do
these
that all the
thoughts are conflicting. This is the problem I have with you, this whole debate. When you say that there's conflict, you can never point it out. You just stand there with this vacant look on your face and take a sip of your beer. What is the problem here? What two thoughts am I having that are diametrically opposed to each other and are hypocritical?
You argue that it's wrong to pass legislation towards incremental change legislation because the real motivation is this unachievable endgame. Then when it's discussing Nazism, that argument is flipped. But I mean, you did argue that you believe wholesomeness can be legislated, which just doesn't make sense to me at all. But yeah, I mean, you've gone back and forth on that argument, depending on which topic you're talking.
Are you gonna tell me how? Ever? Are you ever gonna get to that part? No, you didn't. You didn't say anything.
Not understanding.
You said you argued this and you argued this, but you haven't told me how they're conflicting thoughts exactly. Can you get to that part?
Because you argue the exact same thing from opposite directions
How?
based on what the subject is.
Yeah, I know that that's what the structure of your argument is, but you haven't explained how. How am I doing that? Telling you that having one goal that's unachievable, so therefore incrementally going after it is stupid, is different than saying if you have a goal that is achievable, okay, that you shouldn't incrementally go after it still because the result is something we don't want. They're two totally separate thoughts. They just both use the word incrementalism in them. Is that the problem you're having? Are you just having an issue with me saying incrementalism with two thoughts? What is it?
No, okay. Maybe it's coming from a place of not understanding at all how you think that wholesomeness can be legislated, and maybe that's where the hiccup is with that argument, because that just doesn't make sense. You can't legislate morality. You just can't. So I mean, to
Why
me,
not?
that's
Why not?
unachievable.
Why not? They can be, morality is legislated all the time.
Morality is not legislated.
Of course
How
it
is
is.
morality legislated?
We have murder laws, we have fraud laws, we have hundreds and thousands of laws that are in direct correlation with literally morality.
But those laws are based on preventing victims. It's
Right.
not based on the morality of
And what makes a person a victim of something?
But you're not
If something is done
legislating
to
the
them that's immoral?
morals of the person that would commit that act.
No, essentially, all of our laws that are designed to protect people from being victims of crimes have to do with morality. Those are laws of theft, fraud, and murder, almost specifically, and they're universally accepted as such.
So
what do you mean we can't legislate morality? That's a talking point you like heard on TV or something. Why can't you legislate
no,
morality?
it's not, because you can't make somebody be a more moral person based on the laws that are passed. You can prevent somebody from committing an act, but you can't prevent them from being more moral. Or you can't legislate them into more morality.
Why not? If people aren't committing crimes, right, then they're acting in a more moral way. It's that simple.
No, because morality is about righting wrong and knowing the difference between the two. It's not about looking at consequences and weighing whether the action is worth the consequences. Like, that's not the same thing.
I didn't say it was the same thing. I'm telling you that legislation and laws, though, okay, or legislation in regards to laws, is designed specifically to engage people in moral behavior so that society functions. You can have an immoral society, a totally lawless, immoral society. They exist. People do thrive in them. They don't just die. But we don't have that here. We don't have an immoral society. We're a nation of laws for a reason. It's all based around morality, man. All of it. Of course you can legislate morality. It's done all the time, everywhere. It certainly influences people's behaviors, and it certainly makes them more moral or less moral people. Because if you made murder legal tomorrow, there's a lot of moral people you know who might suddenly be immoral for a day or two.
We had a question from Eric Pone. He wanted you to define what the difference between communism. Let me see if I can find it. And I think it was here it is. What's the difference between communism and socialism?
There's a caveat between communism and socialism. I find them to be differences without merit. One, in communism, it's essentially the entire means of production is owned by the state, okay? And in socialism, the entire means of production is owned by the worker, or it's vice versa. I don't remember which way it went, but that's the essential difference between the two. Is in the one case, the means of production is owned by the state, and the other one, the means of production is owned by the worker.
No, the difference is whether it's a totalitarian government or not. Yeah, socialism would describe the economy. Communism would describe the government. A communist government is a totalitarian. It's the opposite of fascism.
That's not what the definition of it says. The definition of it, and let me tell you something else. Okay, that's not what Karl Marx said. Okay, he invented communism. So I'm going to take it from the horse's mouth, not from yours. Just because you see it as being authoritarian doesn't mean that that's what the structure of it was supposed to be.
Wouldn't the government owning all the means of production be totalitarian?
It would probably be more fascist than totalitarian. It would probably be more of an oligarchy than it would be totalitarian.
But if fascism is an alliance between the corporations and the government, then how can the government taking control of those corporations also be the same thing?
It's not the same thing. I didn't say it was. You said it was.
Literally what you just argued.
No, I didn't argue anything. I was asked for a definition. To my knowledge, that's what the definition and the distinction between the two is. In one case, the people own the means of production. In the other case, the government owns the means of production. And I even put a caveat at the beginning that the distinction is pretty meritless to me. You can rewind the video and check for yourself. But it was a direct question, so I wanted to give it a direct answer.
Okay, well, we got like 10 more minutes for this, and then we will go into the panel section. So if you guys have any more to add to this.
I don't really have anything else to add.
Do you guys want to go into the panel now? Bring Todd on too?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I feel like now that this is more in the opinion stuff, that we should talk about some of the voter fraud stuff that's going on and what's going to be happening on Wednesday and all that. I don't know. Because I know that was originally going to be your topic, Schneid. So I don't know if you want to open up with some of that.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot has even changed since we were talking about that. Like the audio of that phone call today was I don't know why I'm still surprised by stuff, but that was surprising. The stuff going on with Ted Cruz is surprising to me. Yeah, I brought that up because I wanted to hear kind of everybody else's take on it.
Todd, do you have I want to hear your opinion
But I
on it.
really want to hear Todd's take on this.
Yeah.
On the phone call today specifically.
What take? The phone call that was leaked by the Republican Secretary of State, so-called Republican Secretary of State, to the Washington Post?
You know,
Yeah,
he knows he has to
haven't-
record that stuff now.
haven't heard it, but man, that would kind of confirm our thoughts that he's definitely a rhino, not on Trump's side, and that we probably couldn't trust him to report any voter fraud if it did happen, right? So again, I think that disproves it. But I didn't listen to the phone call. So
Well, I think like, I mean, of course he's going to do that. He's been getting bombarded that he's like, you know, in cahoots with people. So, I mean, he's going to absolutely try to show what's actually going on behind the scenes. Shit, I want to like switch my internet.
Why is it the moment somebody goes against Trump, they're a rhino?
well, it's Republican in name only. That's what it stands for.
No, I know.
Right.
I
So
know
and
that,
then you have Mitt Romney. You have these are the people who don't typically have true conservative values. So they're rhinos. They're Republicans in name only. Kind of speaks for itself.
I gotta have to sign out really quick.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I get what you're saying. I guess more just the idea that he didn't agree to what Trump asked. You had said he showed himself as being a rhino.
No, that he leaked a phone call, a private phone call, no different than if
yeah.
you and I are having a private phone call and record it and say, hey, look, Justin, look what Matt was saying about you today. Or I release it to the press. It's disingenuous. It's bullshit. It shouldn't happen. But again, I would expect no less from him or Kemp, you know? So again, you know I'm a Trump supporter. So I'm just waiting to see what happens Wednesday. So again, the evidence should be presented. And we'll see what happens. I mean, you guys really seem more worried about it than we do. And that's kind of very weird. So that's all I see.
Why is that weird? What do you mean?
Well, because you guys, right, Biden won, right? So again, why would you be worried about anything or a phone call if Biden was going to be sworn in and everything, right? That's why it's weird to me. You shouldn't even be worried about it, but you're verklempt over there about a phone call that happened today and was released to the Washington Post. But again, I haven't heard the phone call. I hear, again, until I hear it myself, I tend not to listen to what the media says, especially the Washington Post.
It's not good. It's not good. It's hard.
I'm sure. Are they going to release the whole 1 hour, or are they going to release the snippets?
No, the whole thing's been released.
Right. Okay. So did you hear the whole 1 hour, or did you hear the snippets?
I haven't heard the whole hour. I listened to the first 35 minutes of it earlier.
Okay, so at least you listened to the whole 35.
Yeah, and
that's
I
fine.
do intend to go back to it.
Yeah, because
the entire hour.
No, I didn't listen to it yet. I already conceded that.
But I'm asking if they even released it.
I don't know. If they were being honest brokers, they would, right? They wouldn't just release cherry-picked sound bites. So again,
Project
I don't
Veritas.
know.
Well, they put out an article about it sometime late this morning, and then they released the whole thing fairly shortly after that. It was just the article came out before the release did.
Yeah, again, like I said, why would you be worried about it, right? In 20 days, your guy gets sworn in. Well, Matt was. He brought it up. I'm not. Like you said, I just find it funny that you guys are so worried.
Wait, worried about what?
About this phone call that happened or whatever's going to happen on Wednesday, right? It shouldn't even be. It should be a moot point, right? Richard last night said Pence isn't on board, right? I read differently, but again.
Think about, okay, so if this is what he's saying to somebody that hasn't been on board and hasn't been playing ball, imagine the kinds of things he's been saying to the people who have been playing ball. I mean, the things he's saying just publicly in general are insane. Like, we're watching him basically commit crimes out in the open.
I know. It's in the room with you again, with the Russian collusion and all the other things. But again, I hear you. Again, we'll see. I mean, you're saying using the Constitution the way that it was written.
That's not what's happening.
But that is how it's
so cynical to even say that.
And that is how it is written. That the founding fathers were wise enough to write this stuff in. So again, it should be a no-brainer, right? On Wednesday, Pence should just say, "Hey, we're not going to see it," and Biden's your guy, right?
Well,
why are you upset?
Happens in the Capitol is less worrying than what's going to happen with the protests. For me, anyway.
Why? We haven't burned a single thing. Why don't you? Should have been worried.
You're being encouraged to by Louis Gohmert.
We haven't burned not one building. I don't even think a window has been busted. So again, what are you worried about, Matt? If we want it to be a problem, you would know. If we want it to be a problem,
Louis Gohmert is literally telling people that they should go violence like Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
So didn't Maxine Waters tell everybody to get in people's faces?
But
It's
she
so
wasn't
funny.
okay. But she
Okay,
even like
right.
they always say like
So
to
you're
be peaceful.
selecting-
They're talking about protesting.
No,
This
she
guy
didn't. No, she didn't. She said, get in their faces and cause a commotion. I'll play the video.
They're not. She's not telling them to be violence though.
That's
Oh, get in your
disrupting
face
somebody's
in it.
dinner, which isn't the right thing to do either. But
Oh.
encouraging people to disrupt somebody's dinner so that they can't enjoy their evening out is not the same thing as encouraging violence.
What violence happened in the last?
We don't know. It's not Wednesday yet.
I know. But again, we just had a march in
Wait,
December.
weren't there like stabbings?
Yeah, Antifa stabbed people. Again, I have the footage. It's funny. Richard posted a foot. Oh no. It's funny because it's actually there's the Antifa guy with the knife in his hand. But whoever published it, they cropped it so they didn't get to see. But I have the original picture. People were on the ground there. Go ahead.
You know the guy that you always put the picture of. What was the guy that shot people?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, and so I mean, I saw the video of like the stabbing where he was getting chased down by a mob of people, and then all of a sudden you hear, "Oh, he's got a knife."
Right. Well, you brought up the stabbing.
Celebrated Kyle Rittenhouse.
Correct. Okay. So I'm not the one who brought up the stabbings. You just did. This is why it's so funny debating you guys. You guys get emotional, you get triggered, and you brought up the stabbing. I didn't bring it up.
Well, because you said that there hasn't been violence, but there has.
Correct. Again, your guys stabbing other people. So again,
after a mob came after him,
and you cried about Kyle Rittenhouse, who was chased down and hit with a skateboard.
No,
you said he shouldn't have defended him.
That you can't you can't be celebrating one but not the other.
You got to pick a side. So again, is it okay to defend yourself or not okay to defend yourself?
We just had a couple weeks ago, and I wish I could remember where it was off the top of my head, but that government building that got broke into. Like, I mean, to act like there are left-wing extremists, but to act like there are not right-wing extremists and that there hasn't been issues that have been caused by them is very.
I'm not acting like that. I'm just telling you that in December, when we had the march in Washington, not one building got burned. Now, can you say the same thing about this summer when billions of dollars of damage was done? You can't. I mean, you really can't.
And it
was called a peaceful protest, mostly peaceful protest.
We also found
shill job by the media.
We also found out that a lot of white nationalists were actually posing as Antifa to create this little race war thing that's going on. Right. So I mean, whenever there's, I don't think anybody should be allowed to wear. I hate that this happened like during coronavirus because I've always said this before it, but that I don't think
you're anti-mask.
I'm gonna mute you.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
That you shouldn't be able to wear cover your faces at these protests or bring any kind of weapon. Because I don't trust who's behind some of these masks.
Okay. I don't want to get muted.
Shut up. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Well, Andrew, what do you think about all this stuff going on?
First and foremost, that was the world's most boring debate, just so that everybody knows. Super boring, super useless, went nowhere, and we shouldn't do any more that are like that, just so you know. Just putting that out there. Other than that, if you want my opinion on this, there's not enough right-wing terrorists, right-wing extremists. That's the problem. The problem is the left gets to run roughshod, and they're not getting gunned down in the streets like they should be when they light businesses up on fire and they do this kind of thing. They should literally be mowed down in the street like the mangy dogs they are.
Oh my God.
They murder people. Okay, they set their buildings on fire. They set their businesses on fire, and they should be put to the sword for it.
Rick DeSantis said you
can't.
What
am I hoping? I'm hoping that Schnides' worries are absolutely founded. And I'm hoping that January 6th, Trump comes out on the podium and says, it's over. We're done. Go to it, boys. And that's what you should be afraid of, because that looks to me like it's what's going to happen. And if it does, God help us all, because you got cornered animals and they're pissed off like you can't believe. And
for what reason though? I'm curious.
What are you pissed off about?
Yeah.
because they believe that you stole the election.
Okay, but we didn't. So
Okay, but how many times do I have to tell you this?
yeah, but like it seems
It doesn't matter if you did or you didn't. What
Well,
matters is that they believe you did it.
yeah, and that's the
I mean,
problem,
this is a
though.
bullshit argument. This is the most bullshit argument that I've heard tonight. The create a bullshit stolen election message and repeatedly message it, and then argue that
That we're the ones
this-
like
this
doing
is-
something.
this
You mean
is
like
sick.
you did for
That's
4
insane.
years? Wait a minute, like you did for 4 years with
Oh my
Russia
God.
collusion and the counterintelligence
That-
investigation?
But who
Again,
cares?
God.
Who cares if it's a bullshit argument or not a bullshit argument? That's what happened. Okay. What happened is you have right now 70 million plus people who think that the election was stolen. I tried to explain weeks ago that this was the biggest problem facing the American population to date, and I was kind of scoffed at for it. Well, it doesn't seem like much of a joke now, does it? Now you have millions of people marching on DC, and they're going to be armed, and they're fucking pissed. And the social divide has been such in the last 60 years that they were looking for a reason to explode. It didn't matter what the reason was. It never matters what the reason is, ever. All that matters is that they're primed. They're like ticking time bombs.
Yeah, I can't. I hate that because I think this is what made Trump originally so dangerous because he tries to fuel chaos at everything, and he's created these. This stuff was like happening before, but he took every single divisive thing we have in this country and just
Amplified.
to another level. And
Yeah,
now
he told the truth, and the right loved him for it.
the
The
truth.
right absolutely loved him
They have to
for saying
alphabetize his
for
lies.
saying things like Mexico's not sending up its best and brightest, okay? Because they're not. And he was right about that. That they're really not sending up their best and brightest.
Like Mexico is sending people here.
Yeah,
Like,
Mexico does send people, Mr. Schnides. They really do. And I watched them on a migrant caravan jump on board and give them all free access from South America through their country. They
So-
absolutely do play in American politics. They absolutely do.
So is the problem people trying to escape, or is the problem government infiltrators?
No, the problem is that we're a sovereign nation, and sovereign nations need to have strong borders, and they need to have armed people at their borders.
Okay, so what's the problem with our border that needs to be addressed? Is it people looking to escape their home country, or is it people infiltrating from other countries being sent by that?
It's not an either or proposition.
So
It's illegals coming in illegally into our nation. That's the problem that needs to stop. And it's universally agreed on that it needs to stop.
Yeah, it does. But here's my point. And this is the point that Britt was trying to make with even the way that was framed. It was framed to be inflammatory on purpose. Mexico is not sending, like the idea that Mexico is sending.
Yeah, they do. And at their government levels, they do. And you can look at those documents for yourself. They do send up people who are unwanted in Mexico all the time. They have literally co-opted with what you would call the deep state or the CIA, okay, for all kinds of drug programs and everything else under the sun. Yeah, it's a big problem, man. And Trump was the first one. He won because he said he was going to shut up the border. That's why he won more than anything else, was that he was going to allow America to be a sovereign nation again. That's what the right's so pissed off about. They want their sovereignty back.
Where are you getting that from? Like that there's like some kind of conspiracy. They're sending people here.
It's not a conspiracy. I don't deal in conspiracy theories. Can you name one I've ever cited? No. I only deal in fact. And the fact of the matter is that the Mexican government has indeed, I mean, shit, even at the government level, like Operation Fast and Furious, that was a cooperation between our government and the Mexican government in order to do some type of gun running for tracking through the ATF.
Yeah, and they did that. They did that prior.
It is done, okay, at both the government level, our government, and the Mexican government. They do send people here, and they are not the best and the brightest, and they do send up rapists, and they do send up murderers, and they do it on purpose because they don't want to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to show
And
me.
if you
an
think
article
that
on
that's not true, remember that the British used to send prisoners off to a little penal colony in this small little place called Australia.
So that's evidence of Mexico sending.
No, it's just evidence that governments do those types of things, including a government that was founded, our principles were founded on them, which is the British government. Don't think for a second that they don't. And I don't even think that you would be willing to dispute that they do, because it's all easily provable, all of it. And yes, Trump was trying to be divisive. That's his point. He's trying to shock you awake. Trying to shock you awake.
Well, we're awake.
Oh, you're still willfully blind. You still think that as long as Trump's out of there, things are going to go back to
No, I absolutely do not think that whatsoever. I think that the damage that has been caused in such a short period of time, it's probably gonna take like more. It will be there around like when we're gone. Like it's gonna take generations to heal this.
No, it's not damage that Trump caused.
It didn't say no. I didn't say he caused.
This is 100 years brewing. This is 100 years brewing.
And he sped this up into this like this level that I mean it's
He
freaking,
weaponized it. And I mean, you acknowledge that he did it intentionally.
Of course he did it intentionally. As well he should.
So what's the purpose? What is the reasoning for that? Why would you do that?
Tell the truth? Because people know what the truth is. That's why.
No, but you're saying
because when
like,
Trump says things like that,
why would we be intentionally divisive? Is what she's.
It's
asking.
not intentionally divisive to tell the
You
truth.
just said it was.
I said it was
You just said-
intentional that
you
he
just-
told the truth, not that he was intentionally divisive.
When I just.
So you see him as being
You
divisive.
literally just said that you.
You see him as divisive, not me. Not me. Not the right. The right doesn't see him as divisive. You see him as divisive. I see
You
what he's
literally disagreed when I asked you.
but I mean,
saying. You see him as divisive.
okay, but we're living. You guys aren't the only ones that live here, though. So anything that is going to divide people,
Yeah, but
is going to
you gotta
be
remember.
divisive.
But you got to remember, you're right. We're not the only ones who live here. Fuck them. Fuck them. That's what the left says, right? I had a gentleman on here the other night who said I should lie to transgenders out of respect. You know, fuck them. If that's what the model of the left is, fuck them. Who cares? Who cares? Why should we split it anymore? If Trump calls it, it's over. It's over for you. It's done.
What do you mean by that? Over for us? What does that mean?
It means that you're going to have a big problem on your hands, likely.
Like what? Because I feel like we have one already.
like millions of pissed off armed Americans.
So what are they going to do? Start shooting people?
Well, they might go crazier than that. I have no idea, but it looks like a gathering storm to me. That sure is what it looks like to me. And fine, so be it. Que sera, sera. You know what I mean? If the push needs to come to this, then the push needs to come to this. If this is what it's going to take, then this is what it's going to take. I'm okay with that.
Though, but like, what kind of outcome are you looking for here?
The union's divided. And it's time to have a divided.
So you want the divorce?
Yeah, it's time. It's past time. It's past time. We're not going to be able to agree on the types of society we want to live in. And the thing is that I've often said this: a conservative will kill you, and that's true. They will, right? But a liberal's so much worse because they want to brainwash everything that you were into what they are. And that that kills you from the inside out. And that's what their goal is.
And here's your conspiracy theory. A Mexican manual for illegal migrants upsets some in the U.S. It's the New York Times, so you should just buy right into it. They were making these manuals to tell people how to come into America, the Mexican government. So again, it's so funny. Schneid, you laughed at when I said that the FBI was probably involved with that Michigan shit, and it was. And again, we found it out. Same thing with the guy at the Christmas bomber. You laugh at shit. Back
that comment up from Stacy real quick.
Oh boy,
this one.
Yeah, she
I'll
said,
come back to it, man.
Then? See, that's a great comment, and I've heard that a lot from the left. So the thing is no. How about we just fucking take it instead? Instead of trying to negotiate, instead of trying to be buddy anymore, why don't we just take it from you?
Well, you guys are the minority, though.
Yeah, that's what you say, I don't believe that that's true.
Yeah, you are.
You said to me at the introduction of the show that most conservatives would disagree with me. That ended up being completely false.
I think that they, on the certain issues, I think they still do.
Well,
I
on
mean,
certain issues, everybody disagrees with everybody.
those are
For
the
the most
issues
part-
we were talking about. Some of the,
Conservatives don't disagree with me at all, and they're ready. And unlike progressives, they've been getting ready for 10 years, while progressives say they've been wearing a tinfoil fucking hat. And then coronavirus hits, and these guys have all the food, all the beans, all the bullets, while everybody else is begging the government for a stimulus package. And that's what you get. You deserve it. That's why I'm saying fuck them. That you get what you get. If it's all just tinfoil hat conspiracy craziness, then don't come complaining to me when it pops off like a fucking firecracker,
so
because that's where it's heading.
So Lamar wants to ask Andrew if he wants to go back to the America that allows him to own Black people as property.
Do you want to go back to the Africa that sold people as property? One's as fair of a question as the other.
Okay.
I would bet you he would answer no. So what would be your answer to his
Of course
question?
not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Nobody should own slaves ever. But that's not what that question was for. That question wasn't to actually get me to answer, because he knew the answer. The inference of the question is Andrew's a racist, because it's what the progressives do. When they disagree with you, you're a racist or a Nazi.
All right. What about Todd? Todd
We've
Jan
learned the
wants
point
to
now.
know.
We're past it.
Did Jan make my sandwich yet?
God, here we go. He wants to know if you agree with Andrew. If you do, own it.
But
She
agree
says.
about what? Tell her to be a little more specific. Let's get back to Schnides, you laughing about the Mexican government and telling people how to get into the United States illegally. Again, I literally, Lamar's here. Lamar is the only person who knew about COINTELPRO. Maybe Andrew knew about it. It's a program that's been being used by the FBI where they actually literally let people do shit almost to the point of harming Americans. And then they come in, and Brittany was actually okay with it the last time we had this conversation. She says, oh, yeah, we have to do that so we can build a better case. Anyway, the Christmas bomber was actually, the FBI was informed in August of 2019 that this dude was off his rocker. The FBI told us, hey, we didn't know. We didn't know anything. But the Nashville police put out a press report saying, oh, yeah, by the way, we did contact the FBI. So again, you laugh at shit, but like I said, I'll
For
send
an
it to you
actual
guys.
plot?
Yeah,
Like,
yes. I sent it
send
to
me that.
Justin. As a matter of fact, of course, I'll again. Why you keep asking me for shit when you know I already have it? I don't say shit without having.
I know, and I'm asking you to send me something. I don't
will
ask you for
send it
everything.
to you. You pretty much do, but again, I'll send
Things
it
I'm
because I have
interested
it.
in.
Right. Again, well, I sent you the Mexican article too.
Okay.
So again, it's a booklet that they were producing to help illegals get here and to live here illegally without being detected. The Mexican government. So again, this shit does happen. You don't hear about it. And again, maybe we're being extreme. And let Jan know what is she asking me?
So
I
do you
agree with
see it?
Andrew.
About what's happening on
What with the 6? I told you a couple weeks ago. After what I heard with China, fucking A, let the chips, let's do some fascist shit. You've been calling us fascists? Then fuck it.
Yeah,
let the chips fall where it may. But I did not feel that way. I did not feel that way until, like I said, till we found out all the bullshit going on with China, Swalwell fucking Chinese spies when he's on the intelligence community. What?
Swalwell, a spy, going in is not this. Like he didn't know.
He's on the intelligence community, right? Correct.
When
they
he
also
found out,
can I talk, Brittany, or are you going to cut me off? You won't let me cut you off. Again,
all right.
I'll give you your time. No, I'm sorry. That was just being snarky. But listen, no, he was on the intelligence committee, which means he has top secret information. Now, she also put an intern into his Washington office. Boy, I wonder what kind of shit she got from there. And there's a whole, remember when I said that we were going to invade Canada? So again, I got radicalized over the last few weeks. So yeah, I fucking ain't right. I agree. Fuck it. And again, I don't know what's going to happen. That's why I'm asking you guys. You guys seem worried, not us. We're not worried.
We're worried because of the behavior
Yes, you
that
are.
is happening. Like,
Hey,
not
but there
because
has been
like
no behavior.
there's any legitimacy behind what they are saying.
Right.
It's just
But
because
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. No, go ahead. Continue. That's my
yeah,
fault.
no, like, I mean, that's the only thing that people are worried about, because we know what conservatives are capable of and how like extreme some of these people are. And that's why what Trump says is so dangerous, because when you're talking to an audience like that is heavily armed and not mentally sound, like yeah, it's going to be a little scary to see what they might do.
Meanwhile, every city
They
in
are-
the country
they-
burned all
They are.
summer.
They
Yeah,
are.
we're a bunch of pussy hat like wearing like tree
right.
huggers. Like, come
They are
on.
mentally. They are mentally sound. They are
Huh?
mentally sound. Okay, that's the ultimate expression of masculinity. Is when when people pop off like that and they lose their fucking shit for good. When people have nothing to lose and they lose everything, they lose it. The left has done everything to exacerbate this issue through lockdowns. They've done everything to exacerbate this issue through social policy, through rioting, and they have developed literally a feeling of powerlessness from the right. And so now when the right comes in and says, listen, we just want the case heard on its merits on this election fraud, and they get shut down over standing, the case is never even heard. When 71 million people at least want it heard, they won't even hear it.
What do you mean? What
do you think was going to happen? Did you think that they were going to sing fucking Kumbaya with you?
But what do you mean they're not hearing it? They've gone to courts. They've
They've all been dismissed on standing.
Because there's nothing there.
No, they haven't been dismissed on the evidence. They've been dismissed on standing because no judge wants to be the one to make the call. That's why.
There's nothing there, though.
If there's nothing there, then they should hear the evidence and make a judgment. And then the conservatives would shut up.
No, I agree. I think that they should. I think that the evidence. I was good with an audit.
So what happens is this overwhelming feeling of powerlessness comes in.
Yeah,
and if you're going to make millions of men who are armed to the teeth feel powerless, and you expect that there's going to be no backlash, you're a goddamn fool. And that's my whole point. I don't want this shit. That's the last thing I fucking want. I have a family. I have a wife. That's the last goddamn thing I want is to get involved in civil conflict. But on the other hand, at some point, when you leave people no choice, they're going to do what they do. And all people in this country have been waiting for is a figurehead to give them permission. And I think you might see one now because he's not going quietly into the night.
No, he's not.
And those people who are going out there for him are super fucking mad. And you're not going to be able to placate them. Never. You can't throw money. They can't be bribed. You can't throw them a stimulus check. They don't fucking care about your $600 stimulus check. They don't care about the $2,000 stimulus check.
What do they want? What are their demands?
They want you to literally, well, they want your entire command structure likely to be put up against the wall and shot for treason. That's probably the first order that they want.
Wait, what do you mean? The entire command? Who's the
entire leadership of the Democrat Party by the right is considered seditionists, treasonous.
I'm glad they're very reasonable people.
They're considered seditionists and treasonous.
Based on what?
Can I just say something?
Based on a phony impeachment, based on a lot of things.
Okay,
but nothing more than saying that Americans don't have the right to go open their business in the morning. They don't have a right to go eat breakfast if they want to. They don't have. Now, redcoats got shot because they closed the bars down. Okay, that's what the whole thing was started by a bunch of drunks coming out of a bar shooting at redcoats. Okay, and then suddenly they came from everywhere to shoot at redcoats. That's how these things go. They always start small, and then it's like a snowball effect.
So, because a lot of us feel that treason has been on the other side, but even with that, none of us are thinking they're going to get the death penalty if they were convicted of treason. We're not. You guys really want to live in 1776, and we're not in 1776. Nobody's getting the death penalty for anything. It's ridiculous, even if they were guilty of it.
You keep thinking that words are going to solve this. We're past that now. It's going to be a continuous cycle now. Okay, we can't put this back in the horse. If you don't hear the merits of this case, if it's refused at every level to even be heard, if it's just dismissed on standing, it looks like a massive conspiracy. There damn sure was a media blackout, and no one's going to argue that unless they're insane. There was a media blackout on this, for sure. And that shouldn't have happened either. So yeah, it's what Richard likes to call bad optics. And with those kinds of optics, when you have that many pissed off people, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to go back to holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and we're 3 days away from it. 3 days away. You know what I mean? Do any of you people have a contingency plan for if this actually happens? Because it's terrifying to think about. And we're closer than we've ever been since the Civil War. And I bet none of you fuckers has a contingency plan.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa!
Oh, you
Don't say
do. I
none
know
of
you
them.
do.
Don't say none of them. I do.
Well, you're not on the left.
Oh, okay. The
Right.
left.
I think
Oh, yeah.
he's
No,
addressing the
okay.
left.
My bad. Yeah. Let's say, we've been.
You know what I mean? It's just,
Yep.
that's the thing. I don't advocate for it. I don't want it. Okay. But I'm smart enough to see the writing on the wall and be the canary in the coal mine for you people, because you don't live in reality land. You don't see what's going on the ground. You don't see how fucking pissed off people are in Michigan that they spent 1 year of their life in a lockdown to protect the decimal point of the population from death.
Okay, but I mean, so much of this anger and stuff is not founded in reality. Like,
How many times do I have to tell you?
but that matters though.
It doesn't matter. What matters is what people do and how people react. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Okay.
Honestly, I think that
Did Jewish terrorists burn down the Reichstag? No, but it was sure marketed that they did. So I'm just telling you, you can live in whatever reality land you want to. But I think Schnides over there made a good point when he said he's worried about what's going to happen January 6th. And Todd was like, no, bro, you ain't got to worry. We're not going to burn stuff down like the left does. He's right. We're probably not. I don't know what those fuckers are going to do, but I don't think it's going to be good. Don't think it's going to be good.
Well, I see. I know that Jason, he lives in California, and he's flying out there. He's going the second time to one of these protests. So they have a lot of people there, but it seems like they're flying in from all over the country. But that's okay in one isolated area. But that's not going to work if the entire country has basically gone mad. It might work if you're in one area, but it doesn't work all across the country. What happens then?
What happens then?
Yeah.
You end up with warlords is what happens then for a little while. You end up with what you had in Katrina, where you see massive lawlessness. That's what happens for a while. I don't know how it's going to play out. Okay, I have no idea. I'm just telling you that if you're worried, you probably should be worried, because there's a lot to worry about there. Okay, I don't think that Trump is going to unilaterally give up what he believes is a one election. And that audio from tonight did not do anything to persuade me at all that Trump doesn't think it was a stolen election, because he references it multiple times. Now, whether you think it is or not doesn't matter. He thinks it is. And he's the rightful president of the United States, and he has a massive following.
Seems like they were like, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just saying, I think the same thing that you were about to. I don't think he really believes it.
Well, yeah, and I think he's just he talks in code. Like when Michael Cohen went and he was testifying, he would say how he talks in code, but you know what he's saying. So he'll say he's saying things about, oh, you need to find look for the exact, I forget, the 11,000 something. So it's one more vote than we have. He's basically telling him to find ballots to overturn the election.
No, you don't get to say that Trump's a Navajo code talker and then put words in his mouth he never said.
No, but he does that. It's exactly what he does.
Yeah, he does what? He says something and then you say what that really means is blank. But that's not what he actually says.
But it's what he means, and that's
what
matters.
See what I mean? No, it's not what he means. It's what you want it to mean. He's pretty blunt with what he says. Okay,
no.
You're starting to sound like a QAnon conspiracy.
No, he knows he has to toe the line a
code.
little bit, because for legal reasons, he has to be a little bit careful.
But legal reasons, he doesn't care. He doesn't seem to care at this point about legal schmiegel nothing.
Oh, he does still. In certain ways, he pushes the limits, of course. But with Comey, when he was asking for basically the loyalty test, or he was saying to see if you can drop the investigation. He talks in this mobster code stuff. What is that noise? Where's Justin?
He bailed. He left you here.
Been gone. That's it.
That
Got a little
noise was
too
probably
radical.
me. I had to plug in my phone, and it was then it clunked when I put it down. So I think that noise was me.
A hard time doing
You're
comments
good,
and talking.
Well, you should just do less talking, more comments.
Oh, he's got jokes.
I got jokes. Always got jokes. You know that. Anyway, but yeah, man, I don't know where Justin went, but whatever. Yeah, no.
Yeah, he
listen,
bounced out a little while ago.
yeah.
What's your thoughts on this, Todd?
Okay, well, okay, so you did see what Ted Cruz is saying. Ted Cruz is saying do a 10-day audit, right? So we got from the 6th, and we'll know by the 16th. And then you know what? Conservatives would be like, okay, let's look at what's going on. Okay, well, what's the problem with that, right?
No,
The
I think
inauguration
that's
is until the 20th. I think that would be good, right? And then maybe
All
that'll calm
states, though.
everybody down. Do all states again.
All states, yes.
Sure. Again, because you only think voter fraud happened by Trump, and that's why sometimes I get mad with you because it's like, well, you're willing to concede that voter fraud would happen by Trump, but not the other side wouldn't do it. It's
not on a massive
crazy to
scale.
me. Not on
I
a
think
massive scale. Well, what if one person did it, then my vote doesn't count? So again, now I'm disenfranchised, and that's what Andrew's trying to tell you is there's a bunch of guys who aren't probably as you guys don't think Andrew and I are sophisticated, but we kind of are. And listen, you don't want that smoke. And people are making comments, bro, and I'm sure that they're trying to play hard. You don't even understand how long people have been prepping for this shit.
Oh, I know.
And
I
the
know.
amount
I
of ammo,
freaked the hell
the
out of
amount
me.
of ammo I have, and I'm not even like fucking radical. I'm not full radical, but again.
Isn't the audits that he's calling for, and I don't know, so I mean I'm legit asking, but isn't
Yeah.
he just calling for more recounts?
And that's what Cruz was saying, and again, I didn't get into it because I don't know what's going to happen. Again, on January 21st, my mortgage is the same, my electricity is the same. Again, we govern ourselves. I like Trump, again, and I don't think he's going anywhere now. The way shit is panning out, I don't, but we'll see. Again, so again, and he's saying that there's evidence that's going to be brought forth. What if on the 6th he brings in some fucking dope ass evidence showing that there was fraud? What if? Well, when you see you're making noises,
They won't
you're
believe
not
it.
right.
They won't
that's-
believe it.
he
They
won't,
won't
right,
believe it
exactly.
regardless. It doesn't matter how much
Exactly.
evidence is produced. They will never believe it.
And
Okay,
that's the
I have a question.
problem.
I have a
Go
question
ahead.
for you then. So what if on the 6th, because they're saying that they're going to be delivering all this evidence, and I mean, Jason talks about this constantly and says that, everybody's going to be tuned in. What if on the 6th, there's not actual evidence, it's just more of this, the ballots were counted too late or stuff like that. And
That
yet
is
Well, that is evidence
And yet
because
they still-
it's election day. It's not election week. But go ahead,
and
continue.
yet they still try to take the election or have some kind of military coup. Then, I mean, you guys are good with that?
At this point, whatever it takes to stop the progressive agenda, I'll get behind.
And that's where I'm at again.
And
And I
you-
switched. I told you. You guys literally laughed at me when I said to invade Canada and invade Mexico. And like you guys think I'm really at that point. And that came. I was not on November 4th.
How
But I am
progressive do
now.
you guys think Biden is? I mean,
I
you
don't
couldn't.
know. He's
so
progressive. He's
Who
enough
cares?
to want a gun.
Who cares?
He
If
wants
he's
a
at the
gun
head
grab.
of the, if he's at the head of the progressive ticket, progressive's a progressive at this point. The dividing line is such that nobody's ever seen anything like it in our lifetimes, our parents' lifetimes. So, I mean, that's just the way it is at this point. And the amount of pissed off people who are going to DC, what they're essentially waiting for is permission. You realize that, right? All these law-abiding citizens are waiting for permission. They're waiting for Trump to come out and say, "Okay, it's go time, boys." That's what they're waiting for.
Time to eat, baby.
I can't believe you guys are arguing this is okay. Like, this is
I
mind
wasn't a
boggling.
month
Yeah,
ago,
we know
Matt.
that you
Wasn't
can't
a month
believe.
ago.
The fact that you can't believe a lot of the issues that we had, and you never could understand where we were coming from, is why we're here to begin with.
No, because I mean, the issue is that you guys are talking about this. You're literally down to if any progressive is in office. Like, you're literally saying because Trump lost the election.
No,
Nope.
not because Trump lost the election. Because you Orwellian motherfuckers locked us in our house for 6 months and pretended it was fine and pretended that that's American and pretended that that was okay. And you did it at the local level and you did it at the federal level. And then to boot, on top of all of that, you sent us $600, 600 lousy bucks.
That's your guys' side.
And before that, it was a couple thousand. whoop-de-doo, to lock us up in our homes. That is, what do you think breeds rebellion? That's what does it. That's the kind of shit that does it. Wear this mask or else you get beat up in the street or you get thrown in jail. And that's happening all over the states now. Now in New York City, they're talking about jailing people or putting them in some type of camp if they refuse. I'm serious. It was
I
a
have
huge
the legislation.
Yeah,
if anybody wants to read it.
They introduced the legislation to put people who refuse to be quarantined in a camp.
So
No
is it
joke.
happening all over the country already, or is there legislation in place?
No, it's happening
for it to
now. I'm living it now. I'm in Michigan now. It's as Orwellian as you can get. Okay? It's not a joke. It's really happening because I can see it with my own two eyeballs and I experience it daily. And if I walk into a place without a mask, I will get arrested. Absolutely.
Arrested?
Arrested.
Okay.
Okay, they
come
do arrest people here, and they arrest people here for opening their businesses up and
Okay.
serving the public. And they arrest people here for all kinds of things.
Can you show me an example?
They tackled people they tackled people during the lockdown on the beach. They were just on a beach in South Haven. That's all they were doing is walking on the beach without a mask, and the cops tackled them and arrested them.
Okay, there's got to be more to the story. Nobody's getting
There's
arrested.
no more, I swear. That's all that happened. They were just not wearing a mask and walking on the beach.
There was a guy who was arrested for not wearing a mask. That was it.
That was it. He was walking on the beach not wearing a mask. He was tackled.
I don't
And
believe it.
he was put in jail. They released him, but he was tackled. He was put in jail. It's as Orwellian as you can get. There were checkpoints here. Okay. And the lockdown still continues here.
Anybody want to fact check that one?
There are
Yeah.
no-
What about the video of the mom at the football game getting tackled and I mean, it's like you guys don't see shit. Again, I'll provide you. You always ask for shit, and I have it.
Yeah,
Again, I'm not gonna put it now. Hold on. Let me get back to the reason why we're mad. So Biden. Oh, Biden's just normal, middle of the road. Biden was sitting with Beto O'Rourke talking about hell yeah, we're coming for your guns. And who does he nominate? He gets Jen O'Malley Dillon, who was on the Beto O'Rourke campaign. So they're playing like you were literally on another platform last night, Brittany. We're not giving up our guns. I believe the guy told you from his cold dead hands. And you think that that's some fucking slogan that we're just saying? We're not turning in our guns. They're not for sale. No, again, you were on that platform last night, and I'm just telling you that Gary, right, the guy on there said the same thing. We're not turning them in. They're not for sale.
Hey,
you cannot buy them back.
Hey, Brittany, will you back the comments up to what's his name?
Nathan?
Devin? Is it Devin?
Devin, okay.
That's Richard, bro. That's his alias, bro.
One?
Okay. Yeah. No, back one more.
Okay. What was it about somewhat?
He said something about the coin.
Oh, okay. Let me find it.
He's the black gentleman. That's his avatar. I don't recall the name though. Just flashed.
Are you talking to
Devin is Richard.
There he is. Eric Pone. Yeah. Andrew, if you need my address to send that coin, let me know. Well, absolutely. Maybe if you come on, we'll actually have it. That's fun. And I will send you the coin if you win. For now, it's staying in Michigan for sure.
Yeah,
but if you can take it, man, I'll send it to you. I promise. My word on it.
Yeah, we got all of January is already booked up.
All of January. But yeah, so again, and like I said, like you guys are upset. I wasn't this radical until about a month ago. I mean, I literally floated. You guys thought it was a joke about invading Canada. That wasn't a joke. Like he's got Chinese troops training in Canada. That's fucking submission. That's so what do you call that? The same thing, subversion, treason, whatever. Although he's a separate country, that is our biggest border, and our biggest trade partner is Canada. So again, he should have been like, nah, Xi Jinping, you can't come train here. But he let it happen. So again, I got radical over the last month. If you asked me on November 4th, I wasn't here. Again, I've always been radical to you guys, but again, let the chips fall where they may. But again, I would do the 10-day audit. And again, what that entails, I don't know. I can provide it to you guys. You guys can read it. I would say that it would be a ballot audit.
And remember too, that chances are you got like a 99.9% chance that January 6th just going to be a big old Trump rally, essentially. And then Trumpers go and clean up all their garbage because that's what they do. And then they all leave. And then Joe Biden is sworn in, right? And then that's what happens. You have a far more than likely than not chance that that's going to happen. But my gut tells me something's popping off. So just saying, I would, you know, if you haven't been preparing to mitigate damage for yourself, you probably should, because I don't think this year is going to start off so well.
They haven't been prepping. I've been telling people prep, and they laugh at me. So again, get some non-perishables.
All you can do is try, man. All you can do is try to tell them. They
I know
don't
that
want reality, though. So
I know that like the thing with Ted Cruz, when I think that the point of it is to almost push back being able to swear Biden in or something. They're saying that's why, like, because Lindsey Graham commented about how this isn't going to help Trump because all it's going to do is push back.
Well, that was Navarro.
Like or something.
Navarro said he can change the inauguration date, and people flipped out about that. That was on set. He was on Judge.
That's when you get President Pelosi.
You know, so again, yeah, right. So again, I don't think that that's what Ted Cruz is calling for, but Navarro did say that, and people lost their shit yesterday about that too. Again, I didn't give it much thought. When the media loses their shit, I actually enjoy it. So because, well, why after they picked and choose what articles we could share, and you told us what was Russian disinformation and shit? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Well, again,
there was nothing about that was legit.
I know, except the investigation that the Biden campaign and Hunter Biden acknowledged that was happening.
That's not what they were saying.
Oh, but they did though. So you don't know what the again. Why were they even told that they were under investigation? That's the craziest shit. I'm sure Trump would have. It would have been nice to let the Trump people know in 2016
Didn't they get
were under.
No,
no, not until 2017 when Mueller was involved. Again, in 2016, it was ran as a covert counterintelligence operation funded by Perkins Coie and Hillary Clinton. That got the FBI involved in a presidential campaign. It's funny how you forget. Again, maybe that works with some lefties or some righties. It don't work with me. I'm sure it probably doesn't work with Andrew either. Again, we call it in shit. But again, I'll be willing to debate whoever. I believe Richard would like to get some smoke one time. We'll hit that up.
We'll set that
he
up.
can pick that. He can set that up anytime. Or Devin or whatever his name is. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Andrew, do you have a Parler account?
I do.
Yeah.
I haven't used it really, though, to be honest with you. I just wanted to check it out.
Yeah, I got one too. I don't like it though.
Oh, hey, look, there's a guy in the comments calling me a Nazi and saying I'm using Nazi rhetoric. I'm so totally shocked.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's like we had a conversation about this.
It's like people are going to call me a Nazi. I don't even know what to say.
It's almost like you predicted it.
Fascist.
Yeah, but I told you what the definition of fascism is. The definition is just a co-op between the government and corporations. That's it. That's the whole meaning of it. You know, you guys are all fascists. You support all kinds of public infrastructure projects and interstate highways that are all funded by private corporations getting money from governments. It's a massive oligarchy. We're all fucking fascists.
I really feel like that's not the definition of fascism.
That is the definition. I'm telling you, right? These guys always conflate authoritarianism with fascism. Look it up.
Okay.
Look it up. Look up what Mussolini was actually talking about. Fuckers never got any context for nothing. And you really should.
And the bundle
that's all it means. Okay? And that's all it's ever meant.
Fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultra shit, what is that? Hold on. Something's going off on my phone. Characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regiment. What the fuck is that? I don't even know what that word is. Of society and the economy, which came to prominence in the early 20th century Europe. So let's see. Is my sound off?
No.
Okay.
So I just Googled that too, just for funsies. And I see the exact definition that you're looking from is from Wikipedia. What does the Merriam-Webster dictionary say about it?
The Webster dictionary? Okay. Let me see if I can just... Hold on. I want to see if I can freaking do this. do this. I mean, my computer's kind of freezing a bit. Okay, okay, wait, here. A political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of a fascista that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. So,
Right.
I mean,
So when,
still,
when you're looking at it, right, you can have varying degrees on the right side up to a dictatorship, but it's just the autocratic method. Essentially, it's what America has been for a long time. Essentially, a fascist nation. We've done it for a long, long, long time.
I don't think that's true at all, though. I mean, I
Well,
think
it's
like
true. And that's the definition that I identify myself closest with, because it seems like that is the natural order of things. That if you're going to have government, they're essentially going to partner up with the largest corporations, and they're going to hold centralized control, which is where we're at right this second in this country. You have large technocrats and the Democratic Party who collude, and then you have Republicans on the other side who tend to collude with large manufacturing bases, especially for military weaponry. It is a fascist methodology. Just because there's 200 dictators instead of one dictator doesn't make it any less dictatorial, really.
okay, but Trump is that definition of fascism. Like,
Yeah, Trump. I mean, Antifa's right about that. Trump is more of a fascist than anything else. I'm okay with that. Let him be a fascist. It's better than being a communist.
And just don't be upset when he does some fascist shit then.
Right.
Again. Right. So again, you spent 4 years calling him, so might as well do it now.
How are
That's what I'm saying.
Democrats commies, though? Can you explain how?
I didn't say Democrats are communists. I said it's better than being a communist.
But if we're not commies, then why?
Well, you're socialists. You're not communists. You're socialists. You like to make that identifier. I don't see a whole lot of difference between the two, but you're socialists.
Okay, so
And there's varying degrees. It's on a curve. You know what I mean? Socialism's on a curve left, and fascism is on a curve right. You can go as far as you want with it, or not so far with it. It all depends. It all depends on how you frame it. It all depends on how far it's going.
Okay. But I mean, I feel like Democrats get called commies because we want health care, and I just don't.
It's not just because of health care. It's not just because of health care.
And what?
It's because of the Maoism. Okay, they associate it with Maoism. They don't associate you with Soviet Russian communism. They associate you with Maoist China communism. We're all going to be equals, right? There are going to be no more rich people. You're going to get down and dig in that trench like your lessers. Okay, they associate it with Maoism, not with Stalinism.
We're not trying to make there's like no more rich people. I think we're just trying to level the playing field a little bit, because I mean, the system is pretty rigged right now against people.
What do you mean? No, listen to me. Okay, Maoism is what you get, and Pol Pot is what you get when you get your progressive dream of equality. That's what equality looks like. You're all digging the same fucking ditch. It doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter how much money you had. And so every time the right sees you push the next domino down for your great equality experiment, they see one step closer to Maoism.
Do you know what we're trying to push? I mean, Democrats, even on our most radical end, are pushing policies that are like Canada or the UK or France or Australia or New Zealand or the Netherlands. I mean, they're not. That's what we're pushing. We're not pushing for. We're not going after like countries that have failed governments. We're not crazy. Like, we are pushing for things that have succeeded all over the world.
They haven't succeeded in dynamic nations like our own, where you have a huge minority bloc that's here, that's on the public dole. It doesn't exist anywhere else except here. The only nations you can point to that have universal health care are homogeneous nations. Those are the only ones. Small populations, small
UK.
populations, and
How does that
homogeneous.
factor into it?
What's happening? Why is there an echo?
I can't
Oh,
hear
that
what
might
you're
be
saying.
I'm facing. I'm not sitting in front of my phone. I was just
Wait.
facing while I was listening. Is that better?
Oh yeah, okay.
better.
No, I can. Yeah, no. The UK has
The UK has what?
I don't know their like demographics completely, but I mean they're pretty diverse and they have a universal health care
Compared to the
system.
United States,
Well-
it's a drop in the bucket. It's not even close.
Okay, well we got a Brit. What did you call him again? A lobster back. He didn't even know
Well,
what that
how
was.
does I guess I don't get where you're coming from. How does the racial makeup of a country factor into whether changes in the healthcare system are feasible?
It's not the culture. It's not the racial elements, the cultural element.
Still, how does that factor in?
Because some cultures are superior to other cultures, and the cultures that are superior and they live in demographically small areas seem to be able to pull something like that off. They seem to be able to pull off universal health care because they can fund it. The United States can't fund it. There's no way to fund it. It will go bankrupt. There's no two ways about it. Doesn't matter what plan you look at. There's no plan you can ever present that doesn't create massive quantities of debt.
Pete's plan did.
Even in homogeneous nations where it's done, it still creates a massive quantity of debt.
Pete's plan.
There's a fault in that argument to an extent because you have to take into consideration what we're paying for healthcare now. That cost would be gone. It would cost less to have a single payer system.
That's bullshit. You're taking into account then, I'm guessing you're taking into account what a person pays yearly now for their own private health. Yeah, socialized medicine's much more expensive than what privatized insurance costs everywhere. It costs you 25% in most places. 25%.
That's not true because cost of coverage is based on how large the risk pool is. So the more
private insurance, not with a public. That's not true with a public option. That's private insurance you're talking about. Private,
that's true of the concept of insurance in general.
Yeah, but the public option doesn't take in it can't reject you for pre-existing conditions. Private insurance keeps its costs down by rejecting you for pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, but
if you pool people larger, okay. So if you get a job offer from a place that has 20 employees and a place that has 200 employees, who's going to have better coverage?
They both could have great coverage. They could have equal coverage. The person with 20 employees can even have better coverage. That's not how the risk pool is done. The risk pool are how many people carry that insurance across the board, not how many carry the insurance at the one company.
Okay, but
that's how they group them, though. That's how they risk pool in groups. That's why larger
they risk pool over the entire group, not just at the one company. What the hell are you talking about?
When you have a healthcare plan at your place of work, you are pooled with everybody else that works there. That's the reason that
with everybody else who has that insurance total.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, there's some pooling across plans, but no, they do individualize based on the rates are based on the number of employees.
Okay, yeah, the rates may be, but that's not necessarily indicative of the risk pool. Okay, the costs that are set by the risk pool are set by how many people have the insurance, and that goes for auto insurance. Okay, so you're saying if I have State Farm insurance, they go by how many people are in my fucking household? You know how retarded that sounds, Mr. Schnides?
No, what I'm saying is that if there's a 1 in 100% chance of you having a heart condition, if you pool yourself, you carry 100% of the risk of that happening. If you pool yourself at a place that has 100 employees, everybody carries a 1% chance of that happening. But that's the way
that's not the way it's done. They don't pool. They don't do the pool.
Yeah, this one.
They do it across the entire state spectrum. Who has that insurance? Why the hell do you think Republicans have been trying to get them to trade across state lines for auto insurance? Because it increases the risk pool. and that makes the risk go down because the pool gets increased.
Okay,
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So by increasing the risk pool, we'll lower the cost.
It
Correct.
lowers the cost with private insurance because they can reject people with pre-existing conditions.
But they can't.
Yes, they can and do all the time. In fact, I'm a smoker. My premium is higher. Why is my premium higher? It wouldn't be if I had national health care, would it? No,
Okay.
Well,
no, because I don't, because the pre-existing condition in that circumstance is covered by the national health care.
Okay,
The
but if
pre-existing
you
condition in private
that's
insurance is
not,
not.
Okay.
that's not what a pre-existing condition is. A pre-existing condition is a condition that you've had a diagnosis previous to applying for coverage.
What I
Okay,
missed.
fine. Then if I had lung cancer, the same thing would apply. Many insurance carriers will reject you outright for having it, and they can, and it's totally fine to do, and it's totally legal to do.
Okay, but really quick, I want to say something. Okay, with the public option though, you would be giving everybody health care. And like with what we have right now,
No, you wouldn't. You'd be giving low-income individuals
you
health
would
care.
have everybody with a social security number would be automatically enrolled, with Pete's plan at least, would be automatically enrolled, and you can opt out if you want the private sector. But
Right.
with the problem with what we have right now is because we do accept people with pre-existing conditions, and but we don't make everyone pay. So basically they're waiting until they get sick. So the entire pool is sick people, and the cost goes up for everybody. So you get everybody in, then like car insurance, we make people buy car insurance. So the good drivers pay for the bad drivers.
It's not cheap.
But I mean, it's a lot more reasonable if you were only having a pool of bad drivers.
Yeah, you got to increase the pool. Absolutely.
Okay, but even if you increase the pool, which will lower the risk, okay, in general, with pre-existing conditions, it doesn't work that way. In this case, if you're going to subsidize the entire country and they for pre-existing conditions, when you have a country that has this much obesity and this much chronic illness, the healthy are going to subsidize the unhealthy. And all that's going to happen is insurance rates are going to be through the roof.
That's basically what you're saying. Only the healthy should have insurance. So what's the point of having it? Because once you get sick, then you'll no longer be able to have insurance.
The people who need it the most are the ones who like.
It hasn't fixed the problem. Okay, universal health care in these different countries that you source, which are mostly homogenous nations that are very tiny, okay, it hasn't fixed the problem. Okay, their health insurance is still sky high, and all that happens is the healthy subsidize the unhealthy,
But that's
which
how
is
it
fundamentally
And
unfair.
how are,
Insurance.
The concept of private
how are you
insurance, though,
saying?
God, Andrew.
concept of it.
Wait a minute,
The difference is pre-existing conditions. The
Let's
difference is
get back to
pre-existing
reality.
The healthy
Okay.
do not insure the unhealthy for their
That's how
pre-existing
any
conditions
kind of-
with
that's how-
private insurance.
That's how any insurance works. Like the good drivers pay
Okay.
for the bad drivers.
And the poor people have
Dude,
insurance
all
already.
pre-
You have Medicaid, you have Medicare. I mean, there's about 120 million people, and the people on disability, there's 120 million people that are already on public that we're already paying for. So you guys say the poorest people need this shit. You're talking crazy bullshit.
It's true.
You really are.
True. Medicaid, especially
just do the
seems
numbers.
very easily
Okay?
accessible
I pulled it
everywhere.
up, Justin, and I put it in our little group chat that we have, you and I. But it was probably a couple weeks ago, and I showed you the amount of people on Medicare, Medicaid, and disability. Okay, and it's a lot. It's a good chunk. It's a third of the population of the United States. So again, and then we say about 180 million people have private insurance, which is what I have, which is what I want to keep, because this bullshit about you can keep your doctor if you like your doctor was a total
We found out
fucking
that wasn't
bullshit.
true.
Yeah, and we need to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill. That's bullshit too. So again, I mean, it's kind of like you guys are for equity, huh?
Hang on though. That was the keep your doctor. That's part of the problem of the private industry in general. That we have in-network and out-of-network providers, and your insurance company can actually dictate who your doctor is that you can go see. And that's the way it has always been, and that did not change under Obamacare.
You're saying that you got to keep your doctor. If you liked your doctor, you're gonna really. I mean,
No.
you got like 4 Pinocchios on
He's
that, bro.
talking
But
about in-network care versus
Oh.
not in-network care.
Yeah.
well, I have a PPO,
I'm
so I
saying
can get out of
Obamacare-
network. I can get out of network with PPO, but I'm going to pay a substantially amount more money if I want to. Because if I carry a PPO, I can do that. So again,
Yeah, but-
are we talking about HMOs, EPOs? What are we
Well,
talking
no,
about?
no. My point is
So-
that Obamacare didn't change the way insurance companies dictate what doctors you can go to. That was not a change caused by
So
Obamacare.
back up to Eric Pone real quick.
Okay.
Back up to Eric Pone again.
I can't wait to see Eric debate, by the way, because
Yeah, is he
Yeah.
coming on?
Yeah, he's scheduled.
All right,
He
sounds
says-
good.
No. He said one before that with insurance. The larger the pool, the lower the premiums because the risk is lower. And that's what your guys' position is on this.
Yeah.
But you're not explaining the pre-existing conditions portion of that. That's why it's such a disingenuous argument. Because the risk isn't lower if you start gathering more people who have pre-existing conditions. That
No.
reject
What a
or raise the
pre-existing
premiums
condition is, what a pre-existing condition is a previously diagnosed, is a previous diagnosis at time of application.
Yeah.
The time that you apply is when you are hired somewhere. So you can't be kicked off when you develop an issue. And if we eliminate the entry point being when people are hired, then it's an absolute moot point.
If you have been in 4 accidents, does your insurance premium go up?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
shut up. Then shut up. It's that simple. If
So,
you've been in 4
Andrew,
accidents,
you're
why does your
applying-
insurance premium go up?
you're applying the wrong logic. To
No,
it.
it's the same logic. If your
No,
insurance,
basically what you're
go-
saying is we're going
goes
to have
up,
millions of uninsured people.
Your
If they
insurance-
get sick.
just
fuck 'em.
stop,
Who
just
cares?
follow me here, and I'll give you your shot. But follow me here. If your insurance premium goes up because you've had 3 accidents with automobile insurance, that's a pre-existing condition. Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
you pre-existing. You've already been found to be a poor driver, so they know your risk is higher,
Okay.
so you get charged more money. The same thing happens
That
when you
is
have
not
private
a pre-existing
insurance.
condition. You
The
have a
same thing
complete
happens with
misunderstanding
private
of what a
insurance. Then try to go get insurance privately when you're 60 against a man who's 20. Who pays less, Schneider?
Time out,
Yeah, the
time
guy
out.
who's 60.
Really quick though, let me interject something. And this would be something that maybe I'd be willing to concede with what you're saying. So maybe for pre-existing conditions that you cannot help, that were completely out of your control, then your premiums shouldn't be raised. But if it's
so what about
determined,
obesity?
let me
Yes.
finish.
That's
Let
where
me
you're
finish.
going.
If it's determined, say you're a smoker, say all these yeah, exactly, you're a smoker, you live a careless life, maybe you're like a BMX biker or something like that, then you have a higher premium. I could concede that point, but to say
like
that
most plans have higher rates for lifestyle choices. Like if you bungee jump, if you fly frequently, if you smoke, all of those things. Like most private insurances already have a 2-tiered rate system. One for lifestyle, one based on lifestyle choices.
So what about obesity?
I know smoking, yeah, I know that's one. And like
What about obesity?
well, the
What
company I
obesity
work
probably
listen,
doesn't.
so the company I work for, the way that they do it is everybody pays one insurance rate, and then you can go. They have a doctor on site at the company. You can go to that doctor. You get a checkup. They do your BMI. They do your blood work. They ask you all these questions, right?
Yeah,
And if
I
you
know.
do that,
I've seen
you get a
those,
discount. They give you some money back at the end of the year.
I've seen those
Yeah.
systems, and they're in-house, so they're a little more affordable. I understand that. You're talking about a national system that covers everybody.
Right.
Does
So what I
obesity
want-
does obesity fall in your national system?
Capitalism. I want that kind of system for every company. I don't want to see these health insurance
So
companies.
where does obesity fall?
Okay, let me ask you this then. Where do you draw the point? Like, where do you draw the line as far as how much should a CEO of a health insurance company be allowed to take home as a
I don't
bonus?
draw the line
Should it be
there.
millions
You
of
don't take
dollars?
as much as
Should
you
they
want.
benefit? Do you think that maybe if we cut that back a little bit, we could lower the cost of insurance a little bit?
It's not your fucking money. Okay? It's not yours. It's
You don't
not
see how that's
yours. It's not
And-
your shit. So you don't get to take it to give it to fat people so that they can be insured.
And that's why you're called commies.
Dude, this is so that is a fallacy. You're applying like a broad stroke across the whole fucking population, and that's not fair.
Well, I don't think that if you tax CEOs at 100%, you'd ever get enough money to pay for your national socialist healthcare system anyway.
Told you that Pete's plan reduces the deficit by 450 billion.
Yeah, and they all say they're going to
so
reduce the deficit, and they never do. They never reduce the debt. They never reduce shit. They just spend us into oblivion. At
Andrew,
this
it's so
point,
funny,
if you believe a
because on one of our
politician can
podcasts-
reduce the amount of money it takes from you, you're retarded. I don't know what else to tell you.
Andrew, it's funny because on one of our podcasts, you said that we have a runaway deficit. We will never be able to pay it off. But now
Debt, not deficit. Debt.
Okay, debt. Okay, so how do we get debt?
We incur debt generally by borrowing more money than we have bonds and commitments from the American people to pay back. So the Fed offsets that by printing.
Sure, and I've conceded that point to you. I have agreed with you on
so
that.
So how are you going to pay?
You said that it's runaway, but now you're saying that we can't afford to do
this.
Because
in your private, here's why, dude. In your private insurance scheme, you guys always fuck this up. In your private insurance scheme, you're paying for it. In your national insurance scheme, there's going to be a whole lot of people who aren't paying for it. Okay? That's the problem you have. And what's going to happen as what happens with everything. As what happens with everything.
But
when you have more takers than you have makers, right? The demand is much higher than the supply. Okay?
Why is it that every single country, every single Western country on the planet is able to figure this out, but we can't?
Who's the richest?
Who
is the richest nation on planet Earth?
Oh, so if we did this, all of a sudden our hyper consumerism is just going to go away.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you who's the richest nation on Earth.
America is the richest.
Then why are we wasting?
Nothing to do.
Then why should I waste my time listening to nations that are less rich than my own about how they take care of their citizens? I don't know
because we're fat. We like.
I don't know anybody without private insurance who doesn't qualify for Medicaid right now. Do you? Do you know anybody who can't get Medicaid who has private insurance as we speak? Because I don't know any. I've never met one ever.
How is that even?
Not all the states have
It's an argument because if Medicaid's already there, and it is, and we're already paying for it, and we are. Who is it that you're talking about that doesn't qualify to get Medicaid exactly?
Not in every state,
though. Would the cost of Medicaid go up or down if more people were enrolled in it?
Right now in the United States, it would go up because the amount of pre-existing conditions, the cost.
This would be arguing both sides again.
No, I'm arguing one side. The risk pool.
Arguing with me earlier about.
Let's try one more fucking time. Pre-existing on private insurance, pre-existing conditions. Okay, do you understand the difference? Pre-existing conditions versus non.
I don't think that you understand the difference because you aren't using that term even close to correctly. And you did it over and over again. And you're getting
I'm going to try to tell you again. If you've got lung cancer and you go try to buy private insurance, what the fuck happens? What happens?
When are you trying to buy it? When are you trying to buy
it? At stage 1. You have lung cancer and you go in to get insurance and you tell them you have lung cancer. What happens? What happens to your premium when you tell them you have lung cancer?
Nothing. Because your premium doesn't change based on a diagnosis.
If you go to apply for it, not if you already have it, if you go to apply for it.
When do you apply for it?
When you apply for it, I'm sorry, your cost of the insurance. My bad. Not the premium. What does it do to the cost?
The premium is the cost of the insurance.
Well, then shut the fuck up because it goes up.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Your rate does not go up based on a diagnosis you receive.
I'll prove it right now. You know how I can do that? I can Google right now private insurance, and then I can type in that I have a pre-existing condition, and you can see in real time the rate go up on the quote. Do you want to do that with me real quick?
Listen though. You're arguing both sides. You're arguing that your rate goes up when you're diagnosed, and you're also arguing that your rate will be higher with a pre-existing condition. Yes, your rate will be higher with a pre-existing condition. When do you apply for coverage? Answer that question.
Thank you. It will go up when you apply for coverage. Okay, why does it
when
go up?
do you
Why
apply
does
for
it,
coverage?
and why does it go up when you apply for coverage?
When do you apply for coverage?
What do you mean? When you want
I mean,
insurance?
Yes.
Yeah, but why will it be higher for you?
Guys, try to talk one at a time.
Why will it be higher for you than the guy who doesn't have the pre-existing condition? Is my point.
Okay, hang on. What happens in your life that you apply for health insurance? It's when you get a new job.
No, not always. You can apply for it because you decide that you're going to retire early. You can apply for it. You can apply for it because you think that private insurance is better than your job.
For other reasons, yes, but primarily people. The primary source of health insurance and where people apply for it is when they are hired at a new job. The only time it is a pre-existing condition is on the day that they are applying if the diagnosis was before that. So if you eliminate that entry point, then it's a moot.
I don't think I had to answer that question when
Thank you. So thank you so much. You just clarified it again for me. One more time, you clarified it for me using your own words. Since we know that when you enter into that system and you have an already existing condition like lung cancer, for instance, your insurance rates are going to be far higher. The reason that you have a higher insurance rate is because you're obviously higher risk. What you're talking about doing on the national level,
okay, but the reason
is that people will be covered.
There's a 100% chance that somebody in that small pool. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If you're trying to do it on the national level.
Oh, wait, hold on really quick. We have to dial back really quick because Jan did a little fact check for us. So Qatar is the richest nation in the world, then China, and they have social.
Those are per capita numbers.
Singapore.
Matters, though.
Yeah, no, it matters. What's the actual richest nation, Jan? Tell the truth, because it's not Qatar. They're not even fucking close to our.
You know what I would think would be even better, a better measure of the richest nation in the country, because all this does is it's per GDP. It just tells us how much money we spend. You know what's a real measure of wealth? How much money is in your bank account?
Yeah, it's true.
The worst way in the world to judge how much money you have.
70% of the country is broke.
Yeah, currency is the worst way. Assets are how you judge a net worth, because assets can appreciate. All your currency ever does is depreciate in value.
Most people in our country don't have enough money in their checking account where if they were to get fired from their job, they could survive for 3 months. They can't.
Poor choices.
They probably couldn't even survive for a month.
Poor choices. That's been the status. That's been the status of humanity for 10,000 years. Okay.
You know what? You're right. So 90% of our country can't survive, without, it has nothing to do with poor choices, dude.
It has everything to do with poor choices. Show me a poor man who made good choices.
Okay, so you're saying every poor man made bad choices, and
I'm saying the vast majority of people with addiction problems, people who are poor, okay, people who are underprivileged have made bad choices in their life. Yeah,
a lot of that
all you usually have to do to figure that out is talk to them for 15 minutes.
Don't you think that can also stem from the circumstances they're in?
Sure, it happens, but they're outliers. Okay, there are people who have had meteorites smash through their house. Okay, there are people out there who, if they weren't born with bad luck, wouldn't have any luck. I know that.
I don't know. Number one cause of bankruptcy in this country is medical bills, so I don't know if that argument washes.
Bankruptcy. So you had something to be bankrupt with. Most people never start with anything. They never get to that point. Most people never even put $500 in their bank account. They go buy stupid ass Nike shoes with them. They go buy dumbass Nike shoes with their food.
Outliers. That's not most people. Most people are struggling just to put food on the table.
Yeah.
Why? Why aren't they struggling to put Netflix on their TV though?
Because we have a real problem in our country.
We have a problem with consumption.
No, we have crony capitalism in our country.
No,
yes,
it's a problem.
Absolutely.
The problem is with consumption. If you make $12 an hour, okay, and you put $1 of that away per hour that you make, okay, by the time you're 60 years old, you would never have a fucking problem with money ever again, ever. Now, most people won't do that. Not that they can't do that. They won't do it.
Most people can't do it. That's the problem.
They can do it.
And now
I don't know. $12 an hour. I think it would be pretty hard to put that away.
Do you know what
Well,
delayed
there's a guy
gratification
who's a
is?
parking attendant who actually has a $500,000
Look.
portfolio, making $12
Look,
an
you
hour.
know,
I actually wanna
Justin
add
knows
something.
this because I actually shared it with Justin, so it's funny he's acting like it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
wanna-
it's possible,
what
but again,
Nathan
that's
just
the
said.
outlier.
So Nathan had said this is complete nonsense. It has been routinely proved poor people are more rational spenders than the wealthy, and he's absolutely 100% right about that. He's not wrong about that. And then also you can add to that that the wealthy actually work less than
that's true. They do. It's smart. It's
You
smart
can-
to work less, but you have to understand what your value is. You have
So
to
you're-
understand what your value is.
And this is why you're called commies, because you're
Listen,
engaging in class
you're already
warfare.
you're already
Class
as rich.
warfare.
You're already as rich as the richest man on earth, because the thing that you have that he has that's of equal value is time. You have both of those things in equal value. The value that he has with it is no more than yours. You have an equal amount. How you choose to spend yours is going to determine what ends up happening with your finances. Most people spend theirs very poorly.
and most people start off at a different spot in life than the wealthy. So a lot of wealth.
I'm not talking about the wealthy. I'm saying anybody can be wealthy. Anybody can be wealthy if they study finance.
But you
and if
have
they
more time.
manage their own money.
You have more. I studied finance. I'm still struggling to make ends meet.
And you're making bad choices somewhere.
Where am I making bad choices?
I don't know. I would have to see.
frugal.
I'd have to see what your financial plan was, but you're making bad choices somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
Doesn't your wife work?
Maybe having kids gets expensive.
Yeah, sure. Of course it does. But the problem is most people live outside of their means. Okay. They have a bad consumption issue.
But the means, I mean, it's pretty, the cost of living is very high.
Yeah.
Yes. The cost of living is high. Okay.
Where
The cost of
you have
consumption.
wages haven't increased with the cost of living.
Okay. But the
That's a
cost
fact.
of that is true. And I talk about inflation being a problem all the time. It's probably one of the number one problems. But you fuckers wanting to print unfettered amounts of money to cover everybody's pre-existing everything is not helping with that inflation issue.
So the left wants two things, and there's two things that we want that we agree pretty much across the left that we all agree should be provided as a service: healthcare and education.
Hey, back that up to Lynn. Back that up to Lynn real quick.
Healthcare.
Hey, Lynn.
Let
Hey,
me-
Lynn. Will
let
you take?
me
Will you take the
Healthcare
Pepsi
and-
challenge? Will you take the Pepsi challenge? If I grab my W-2 from this year and put it up on the camera, will you do the same for yours? Will you take the Pepsi challenge? And if you lose,
What do you want to do
will
with
you
the W2s?
publicly say you're sorry?
This has nothing to do with my argument.
Yeah, but it was
What
fun.
I'm trying to do is
Anyway, go
a
ahead.
plot, and I'm not gonna fall for it. So we want two things, and then we can go back to the W2 thing. We want two things. We want healthcare and we want education. Healthcare because you shouldn't go bankrupt. Healthcare because you shouldn't go bankrupt for simply getting sick. It's not right. It's a right to live. It's so, like the normal person, like a rich person, they can afford to get sick because they go to the hospital, they can pay for that surgery. Well, a poor person, they're never going to get out of that. They actually have, I think Schnides has said it, the leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bankruptcy. They get all these medical bills, they can't afford it. But education, that's the key to our future as a society, which you should want. You should want our country to be smarter, and we can do that by providing education to everybody.
In what? The social sciences?
It's an investment.
Critical race theory. They want critical
What do
race
you want,
theory.
what do you want them to be educated in?
I mean, we can argue. I mean, that is a different argument. Maybe we should. I don't know.
Again, they're intertwined.
See, now what you're arguing right now is communism. You're saying that you should dictate what people go to school for.
No, I'm asking you what you want them educated in.
Because you're saying that the social sciences isn't worth the shit, right?
I'm saying that the chances of you making a good living after spending $150,000 on a degree in the social sciences is not very good. You know why? Do you know why it's not good?
It wouldn't cost $150,000.
You want to know how to make? Do you want to know?
Colleges.
You want to know how
they're
to
allowed
solve?
to increase the rate of tuition because they know that students are going to get
Man,
federally guaranteed loans from the government, so they increase the student loan amount based on that law that they're allowed to do.
you could make Justin. You could make college free tomorrow, and there would be just as many poor people, if not more, than there are right now. Do you know why? You know why that is? Because of the lottery curse. It's because of the lottery curse. You guys know what that is? The lottery curse.
Always in the background.
That's from Schnides.
Schneid's.
know what the
Is that
lottery
where everybody who's won the lottery loses all their money?
Pretty much every single person
Yeah,
who
and
ever
I'm
wins
sorry,
the
guys. I
lottery.
don't know if you can hear me. I'm breaking up really bad, so I'm going to bounce.
All right.
Okay. Bye,
you,
guys
Schneid.
have a
All
good
right,
one.
man. Take it easy, bro.
Pretty much everybody who wins the lottery loses all of their money. You know why? Because if you're terrible at
Poor choice.
managing $200 a week, you're going to be terrible at managing $20 million. Okay, you're going to be
What was that,
terrible at it.
Justin?
Huh?
Yeah, we need
What's
to.
that? Poor choices?
I knew where he was going with it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
because of poor choices.
I
No,
think we.
that's
teach,
that's people who are highly educated who win the lottery, and that's people who are dumb as mud catfish who are losing all of their winnings
Do you think
because
that
of consumption.
with
Here's
tax-
what happens. There are people in this earth, there's not that many, but they do exist, who have impulse control. Okay? They won't fuck the hot woman in the room if they think it'll lead to problems. They won't do the things that they think are going to lead to problems in their life. They won't do it.
Right.
Okay. And because they can control their impulses, they can tend to put a lot of money away. And then if they have a small amount of capital, they can make that capital work for them and it turns into a large amount of capital.
So, so wealth
Okay.
is
What you're
completely-
doing is you're training people the wrong things. You're instead of hyper educating everybody. Why not try to teach people restraint? Why not try to teach people impulse control? Those are the things that indicate success.
I know what we should do. This is what we should do. We should instill a fascist government, and they can tell us how to spend our money. That's what would work.
No, I think we should like.
But listen,
I'm trolling
traditionally,
you, dude.
well, so traditionally, just so you understand, monarchies tend to work out better than democracies do, and they last a whole lot longer. Okay, they last a whole lot longer. The natural order of things on this planet is that people gravitate towards a strong man. That's what they do. They
When they're
always do it in every single situation that they're in.
Would you say
Okay.
that strong man?
When they're scared.
No, not just when they're scared. They gravitate towards it anyway. It's a natural state of being. It's why hot women have sex with assholes. They have sex with assholes because they think of them as being naturally the strong man in the room.
Okay, so
Okay.
if you're an asshole, you're automatic. You're considered strong.
No, I'm just saying it's an indicator that their ovaries seem to like. I'm not saying
Oh my god.
it's the truth. Look it up yourself. Okay. And you know this anyway. People know this from experience. It's just basic psychology. All right. The reason that happens, it's not just women. Okay. Men also gravitate towards strong leadership. There is a pack hierarchy that exists. And generally people tend to want to follow it. In the democratic process, that's left behind.
So what about all the people that aren't assholes that have wives?
What about them?
How did they get their wife if they weren't an asshole?
It's not about wives. Okay, I'm not talking
Or how
about
did they
wives. I'm
people?
telling you that there's an indicator there, an indicator for why young women tend to go after assholes and bastards. Why do they do that, Justin? We know that this psychological.
I guess it's because they're perceived as strong.
Yeah, because of the perception. The perception is there. Women aren't the only ones who do that. It's just the most noticeable with them. Okay.
Sure.
What I'm saying is
I've never really been an asshole, and I've never had a problem with the ladies. But
no, I get it. I'm just saying that you do know assholes who don't have any problem with them either.
Sure, but doesn't that just directly contradict your argument? Like
it doesn't directly contradict my argument because for the most part, what women are attracted to is strong leadership in men. There's psychological study after psychological study about the phenomenon. You can ask the question a million times. Why are women attracted? Just do a Google search. Why are women attracted to assholes and watch what pops up? Okay. It's just article after article, case study after case study, psychologist after psychologist.
Valley that have like smoking hot wives. They were bullied in high school. A lot of them,
but they're rich. They have lots of resources that gives them status. So men or women also tend to go for where resources are. That's a different thing, though. That's a totally different thing. What I'm saying is that inside of human nature, we have a pack hierarchy, and we tend to go with people we think are leading us well. That's what I'm saying.
And this thing with the poor, I need to go back to it because Bob Woodson of the Woodson Center, okay, one of my favorite black conservatives, 70% of the $22 trillion we spent on the poor in the last 50 years went not to the poor, but to those who serve the poor, your bureaucrats and your government. So if your job depends upon having a dependent people to serve, what proprietary interest do you have in promoting their independence? So again, you could spend all the fucking money in the world if we're not teaching them the right things. And Justin, you agreed we need to teach young,
I do
especially
agree
young
with that.
minorities. Okay, we need to
I
teach
do
them
agree with
about
that.
money
The problem
and
is,
finance.
you
I
can't.
do agree with you.
You can't.
However,
teach-
I want to go back. I just want to go back for a minute, back to this alpha male myth, because I think that what a lot of women like more than guys that are fucking dicks is I think they like guys that are funny. That's been my experience that I've seen. Like funny guys, like you'll see like a really like what you would say isn't an attractive guy who's hilarious, and he'll be with an attractive woman. I think that women like funny guys more than they like
Absolutely
assholes.
true.
I think they like security.
women like resources more than they like anything.
Uh,
That trumps everything.
People, I mean,
And security.
Resources and security.
want to know that you're going to survive, and I guess that is a method of knowing that you're going to survive. But I'm telling you,
Of course,
it's all personality traits.
It's all biological. And what I'm saying is that here's what else is biological. Consumption, when it's ready, it's a biological thing for us to want to consume. Impulse control is not natural. It's unnatural. It has to be taught, or it has to be innate. Most people don't have impulse control, and that's why most people are poor. It's no more complex than that. People want to make things complex when they're not complex.
I don't think it has anything to do with impulse control. I think it has. I think that there's a problem in our country with hyperconsumerism.
Then look up the marshmallow study.
I don't think that has anything to
Look
do
up
with
look up the marshmallow study, where they took children and they asked them if they wanted a marshmallow. And if they would wait 15 minutes, they would get 2 marshmallows. Okay. The kids who decided that they wanted both or 1 marshmallow right now and they didn't want to wait. Okay. It was a great indicator for the rest of their life when they followed them around. The ones who waited the 15 minutes to get the 2 marshmallows, they ended up being far more successful in life than the ones who took it right away. Now, small study, sure. Okay. But it's a good indicator of what we all innately know. We've all done stupid shit with money. Okay. That in hindsight, we can look at and go, where the fuck did all that money go? We spent it on stupid shit that depreciated in value. And then it's gone for good. And the thing that you bought with it is virtually worthless. This is why the poor stay poor. Anybody in the United States can be rich, and it has nothing to do with hard work. It has to do with being smart and having impulse control. That's it. Those are the 2 indicators. And that's why you're always going to have more have-nots than haves. And there's not a fucking thing you can do about it.
I have no problem. See, this is where I kind of disagree with you. I have no problem with having haves and have-nots. I think that the gap between the two, the deviation, is so large that we have a big problem in our country. And like when you look at the amount of wealth that the 1% holds, that's where I have a problem. Like we always need to have, classes. Absolutely.
Sure. Go ahead and lock everything down so that you divert all of the wealth from the lower class to the upper class. That was real smart.
3 people have.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos thanks you. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, good job. Good job with that one, guys. You really did a
making him $70 billion this year. So you guys, you talk about the 1%, but yet Walmart, big box stores, and you close down all the small businesses. It's the funniest shit. That's kind of why we laugh sometimes. It's the craziest shit. Again,
the income gap that exists between men and women exists because women are skilled at things that men aren't skilled at, but men, for the most part, are what makes society run. They do all the dangerous.
Oh my God, dude.
They do all the dangerous jobs. That's why the death rate for men is so much higher than it is for women in the workforce. They do all the dangerous jobs. They make society run. Women didn't invent air conditioning.
Like
okay,
that have been placed by society, like, oh, I got to be a strong man. I gotta go work on the oil fields. Like,
no, it's not a stigma. It's what they do because they can do it. Men are interested in how things work. Women are interested in how people work. That there's a huge fundamental.
You're painting with a broad stroke. Like
that's because it is a broad stroke. It doesn't make it less true just because it's widely true instead of packaged in a small package. It is widely true that women are more interested in people than things. Ask
A lot
Brittany
of
if
what
she's
you're
interested in people or things. Ask her.
But you can, I mean, you can easily apply that to men too. Like
No, not so
a lot
much.
of a lot of what you're talking about is psychology, and so like there's been a lot of stigmas that have been placed down on our society that have been handed down generation and generation, and it's finally starting to break. And I know like, some people want to go back.
Women are still working
stay at
service.
home and go to
Women
work.
are not inventing shit. They're still working service jobs.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. No joke. Go ahead. Name 2 female inventions off the top of your head. Go
Because
ahead.
like, a female invention
Right,
off the top of my head. That
But now
means that-
name a male. But now name a male invention off the top of your head. Everything. Yeah, everything. Right. Everything you can think of.
Are you,
How long
like,
were women not even like working though? Like women just recently, like in the last 50 years or something, really came into the workforce.
Yep.
That's true. I don't disagree. But not all inventors come from the workforce. Okay. What I'm saying is that the reason that men tend to invent a lot more things than women do is because they're more interested in things than women are.
Okay, well, we're going to close this down in about 2 minutes or so. So I don't know if you guys want to say anything.
Yeah,
else.
I mean, these commentators, it cracks me up. They talk a lot of shit, but I don't ever see them on here. The only people you ever
pull
put on
up.
here, the only
That's
people
it.
you ever put on here are
Wait,
ladies with
go
these.
against
It's
Andrew.
ridiculous.
Come through, pull up. Yo, I just want to take a time, and I feel so much better now that the House of Representatives has now eased gender terms such as father, mother, son, and daughter. I mean, I will sleep better tonight knowing
You're welcome.
that you guys are even more of fucking idiots than I already known you were, changing that bullshit. I'm going to call my sister, and my mom, my mom. You guys are out of your fucking minds. Anyway, thank
Brief
you.
thing of that. I don't really know
No,
too much.
it's not a brief thing. They literally wanted to change
I'm saying, will you
I'll send
listen
it to you.
Will you listen to me? I'm saying I saw like a clip of that. I don't exactly know what you're talking about completely.
Just what
yeah.
I told you, that they're
All
trying
right.
to change gendered language from the House rules. I'll send it to you as usual. I'll do your work for you, socialista. Anyway, yeah, my battery's dying too. So go ahead. I'm good. Andrew, sign out. Justin, sign out.
Thank you, everybody. I am
Thank
sorry that took a little bit. I had some.
Silver stays in Michigan.
I tried to come back.
Stays in Michigan.
Okay.
I bet those glasses make you see better.